are you studying?
Actually, University in America, but I'm doing it remotely. I'm studying, getting a second degree in computer science.
So that's impressive. Yeah. I mean, science, math, programming. Like I watch these tutorials on software developing, code, and I'm just like, man, no fucking way. Could never, ever, ever become smart enough to do what, these people are doing. So
a lot of it is just about practice. And I mean, I'm not the best at it by any means, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more you understand like the structures. It's all about structures.
Well, I say life is too short to start over, so I got to pursue my my talents, maximize my talents.
How's the YouTube channel coming? Not YouTube channel. What do you do this? Do you stream on YouTube or just Instagram?
YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, etc. All the major platforms.
Have you been able to monetize from it?
No. It's
an experiment.
Yeah. No, I haven't been able to monetize, but honestly, I mean, I'm monetizing, but not in the way that I want to. So, I'm just still giving it a little bit of time. I figure like 2024, like in 2025, a couple months from now, I'll change everything again. I've realized that like failing fast and changing is like the only way to progress. It's just like the theory of evolution. It's like change or die.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, some of the best entrepreneurs say fail fast and fail hard.
Yeah, and that really means putting yourself out there, testing, until you find like a niche. And then or not even a niche, but when you make a discovery or you see how other people are phrasing things, take note and remember it and clone it and build on it. So it's like there's no such thing as an original idea. There's just cloning and then amplifying.
And
Mutating, yeah.
Some windows on my computer because I'm using up too much memory.
I have all these cell phones, and some of the phones are like completely unusable, and there's absolutely no reason to explain it. It says all the memory's eaten up, but there's nothing on the phone.
Oh, you probably have to take it to a phone store, because even though you delete things off of your phone, like it has like a recoverable memory, but you can erase at the phone store. I think they have the tools to erase the memory. Definitely.
See, that's fucking retarded. Like, you hit something, delete. It's like, just fucking delete it. And then, let me use the phone again. I mean, so stupid. The fuck?
Are they iPhone?
It's just Android.
Androids?
Yeah. And iPhone too. I have the same problem with iPhone. And the worst thing about the iPhone is you can't necessarily take the files off. I don't know. iPhone is annoying. Anytime you're dealing with, importing 100 gigabytes, man, I'll tell you, these laptops and these desktops, they have not been keeping pace. What's that one? You're in computer science. What's that law of multiplication for like speed or memory storage? What's that guy's name? It's like the most, it's
not Morgan's law, but Maxwell's law.
Is it Maxwell's law? Let's see. No. That's for That's something else. It's called Lorentz force law, form the foundation of classical electromagnetism, classical optics.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Moore's law. That's what it is. Moore's law.
Yeah, Moore's law.
Yeah.
Single chip doubles every 2 years at a minimal cost. Number of components on a single chip doubles every 2 years. Yeah, not actual science. It's an observation. So what I'm saying is Moore's law is
bullshit. It's an observation that's really true since he came up with the observation.
It's not true. It's bullshit though, because like my 2 terabyte or my 1 terabyte hard drive, the fuck, like my desktop should be like 100 terabytes by now, at minimal cost.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Cost to you and cost to them, and the people that are manufacturing it are 2 different things. That's what he's not talking about the cost to the consumer. He's talking about cost to the manufacturer.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, regardless, Moore's law, like your desktop has not changed in 20 fucking years. Your laptop has not changed.
Because we haven't found a way to redesign it in a conducive way. There have been methods to try to engineer it, but in a more suitable way. But one, people are very comfortable with the structure that we have, the shape, but they have become smaller. Essentially, an iPad functions to a similar capacity as desktop from 20 years ago. Actually, better, because you can add more memory with smaller chips, and you can add more hard drive space. When I say memory, I mean random access memory versus hard drive space, and also more components. So we have, and also cell phones, right? I don't know, Android phone, iPhone, whatever. They have much more power in them and are infinitely times smaller than
that's true.
Than the first computers.
That's true. I guess that's true. But I mean, well, yeah, that kind of does work out. But I'm just still disappointed because I film so much that it's like, man, 100 terabytes on a nice desktop should be standard. I mean, it's really just a question of profit. Like they probably couldn't turn a profit. Yeah.
So that's there lies the thing, right? So we are actually how much do you think the first IBM computers were cost?
Oh god, hundreds of thousands probably.
Yeah. And they have a fraction of the amount of memory and speed, and they also weren't internet equipped. And they were doing basic calculations and processing. And now we are using Wi-Fi to speak between our phones and our routers. They go to a processing place, and then do the same thing from the other one end to the other, and in between a bunch of other stuff is happening. So, and we paid probably a few $100s for it versus a few $100,000 for it.
So how do you think we solve the Ukrainian-Russian conflict? I said, how do we solve the Russia-Ukrainian conflict?
I mean, my theory is to kill all the Slavs, but nobody wants to listen to me.
Yeah, you're just as ridiculous as other people on this app who are basically calling for the death of everyone who's not productive.
I mean, that's part of the nature of humanity, right? We want to kill people that we believe are just useless beings in our world, instead of trying to build those people up and make them into normal human beings, or the human beings that we think that they should be. Because who's to say that we are the normal human beings?
Jesus, I'm watching an attack drone drop 100 pounds of thermite on a tree line and then detonate a C4 explosive. That's wild.
Sounds lovely.
Just killed like 10 Russian soldiers. Yeah, drones are just fucking next level weaponry. Just incredible. Come out of fucking nowhere and just blow you up. Yeah, it's amazing. X platform, the trending section, what trends. It's like Elon Musk really is building a next level platform in terms of like content and then optimization for maximum user engagement.
So you're like Elon Musk, who also believes that we should just kill people who are useless.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about in this room yesterday, and I was like, you guys are genocide. Like, you guys will commit genocide. You have no problem watching people die. You're sick people. Like, you're actually crazy people. You are sick, like mentally ill.
Yeah, some people are just like mentally ill. That is very true. But luckily, very few people on this app have any actual power to do anything.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's a good thing for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's amazing how we can give so much. Like, is Shuki still here? Like, so many people, hate Shuki because he stands in their way and he causes them extreme emotional distress with his position and his tone or his communication. So that to me is like the amazing observation about this app, that our words, even though we all know that most people here have absolutely no power outside of the word game on this app, we still give our emotional all to the app and to the communication game that's happening here. And that to me is like what I don't think people really understand. And that is like into enlightenment and understanding the word game or how words are programming us. And since you work in computer science, like it's interesting because computer science is working on programs and software that communicate with us. And you have to know in advanced communication mathematically and script and software. So it's amazing how that is like the reverse, but there's no emotion in it. And there can be programmed emotion, like, graphics and all that stuff. I'm just saying that the emotional component is still mostly words and pictures or videos. But why don't people on this app like wake up to the fact that they're hypnotizing themselves, hypnotizing others, or being hypnotized? So there's like 3 positions you can take on this app. I mean, it's just my opinion. Yeah, I know I'm kind of wrong.
From the, I'm Jewish, right? So from the Jewish perspective, we believe that God created like the heaven and earth, blah blah blah. But the word for speak or spoke, right? It doesn't even say like words. It's davar. It's like God spoke, and which implies that words are something was created, but it also means a thing. So it's an idea or a thought. So we are creating thoughts and ideas as we speak, and we are manifesting other realities or can manifest realities with our words. So the Kabbalists take this idea and they go to an extra level. And in some cases, they say, like, where we get the idea where we should watch our words because we can manifest life and death, like God created life and death with his words. We can manifest realities, like God manifested the reality of the world that we live in. And, we can create, manifest other universes, which doesn't have to be physical things, but they can be mental things or emotional things, like you said, and also a type of hypnosis, right? You can accept
Weird. So do you think there's like a therapeutic effect to the communication because without like setting that intention or designation, I don't think there's much therapy work here happening here. But like,
You mean on Clubhouse or?
yeah, Clubhouse.
Oh, I think that there can be, and there is. Listen, you see the Hebrew Israelite rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of these other rooms, like where people are basically sheeple, right? And all that goes to they can get thousands of people into a space and convince them that they are the Messiah and they can bring them to salvation and do whatever. It shows you that there's a lot of people out there who are looking for help with their identity.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for some sort of social engagement with the complexities of their identity, and I think that it could definitely be used for therapeutic purposes with the right person, with the right intention, with the right whatever. I mean, it's just like in the real world, except you don't have to really go out there. You just have to have other people on the app with you. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other cults will be formed on here already. We have a person named Judah, who's like named himself the Messiah and descendant of incarnation of Haile Selassie. He has probably hundreds, if not thousands of followers from all over the world. So there are a lot of people like you. It's okay to be hated. Should be a lot of people hate me also.
It's true. Shuki needs his own TV show. You need to go on X, Shuki, and just do the Shuki room, and just slam everybody's bad ideas. See, that type of free speech communication is all the rage right now.
Well, this type of device is giving people a platform. It's just like blogs, right? When blogs were first coming out.
Yeah.
Everybody had an opinion and everybody had a blog and they were like bloggers, blah, blah, blah. This is just a similar thing. It's giving people the ability to create their own independent talk shows.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you, what is the difference between from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? So what I'm saying, what is the difference exactly? Why David can and I cannot?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't think they can, and I don't think that.
But they do, and nobody is stopping them. They can reiterate, right? According to the standard, so-called standard, the double standard.
But at this point, it's because they are seen as like a minority, right? When this is why they don't like black Jews or black people who are Zionists or black people who are Israelis, because they wish to paint the Palestinians or Arabs like foreground people who like don't have any like self control or self determination or whatever the case may be, and then Jews or Israelis as like wealthy white people who are just oppressing brown people. So they're reusing a narrative that's similar to like the black American or Western white black ideas.
You fall into the trap. You pay attention that you just fall into the trap.
I fell into your trap.
Any trap, then.
Did I fall into the trap? Or did I explain what they believe?
Exactly, that's the trap. That's the trap, exactly. You were using them.
I'm not using their argument.
Explanation is justified.
Explanation.
Why would all Muslims need to die today before tomorrow?
question.
I think that they're getting way too much legitimacy from the people that are trying to explain that. And that's what's wrong to begin with. Nobody should explain that.
It's platforming.
They are pieces of shit.
It's platforming shit. It's like going to a dance hall and dancing with a bunch of turds. Eventually, you're gonna walk out with shit stains all over you.
Well, I think that it really depended on how you asked the question. And so I answered the question in which it was asked.
Sure. What book did you read?
There is a book. Let me see. It's called. Here I just sent it to a friend of mine, so I'm gonna look it up.
You should get the book Marcus Aurelius or the Harvard Classic with Epictetus. Read Greek Stoic philosophy because it might help with software development. I mean, I don't know if it really will, but it will help with AI development, because AI is so socially woke that it's just boring.
Well, yeah, I actually went to study philosophy in college, but my company was paying for me to go to school, and they said you study business or engineering or science or something. So I actually have in my library a lot of philosophy books, and my favorite genre is Greek philosophy, mostly Plato and Socrates.
Those are good, but
Aristotle.
Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius are very short, and I would call them like masters of philosophy. With Aristotle or Socrates, you're getting incredibly long, drawn out thought explorations, but with Marcus and Epictetus, it's very direct. It's very businesslike.
Okay, give me a second. I'll look them up once I find this book for a reread. Frick. Here it is. It's called Black Power. Why?
Yes, because the why. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, a simple answer is you're conflating the concept of evil. Evil is perspective based. It's evil to you, but it's not evil for the universe. The universe is just all good. Part of the good of the universe is your death, this kid's cancer, that hurricane, and you just don't get it, right? Nobody cares about that as an answer. That's a frustrating answer. It's actually given as an example in Eov as the wrong answer.
Yeah, right. I mean, I wouldn't say that the universe is all good. I would just say that the universe is the feature of it. The universe doesn't care. The universe doesn't have an orientation to itself about whether it's good or not good. It just exists.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It seems like the wrong answer, in part because that's not what people are really asking when they say problems with evil. They're not saying, like, mechanically, structurally, how can it be there is a perfect design and there's stuff we don't like. They're not, like, worried about the engineering problem. They're whining about something that they didn't like that happened. And then they're conflating it to, like, an example, like a perfect case. Like, sure, I didn't like it when I missed my bus that one day. But, like, kids get cancer, and that's not fair. So I shouldn't have missed my bus. God damn it.
Well, that's why that's like why at Jewish funerals, we do Tziduk Hadin. Tziduk Hadin.
I've never had a Jewish funeral. I'm going.
Oh, so there's a part of the Jewish funeral at the grave called Tziduk Hadin, which basically is a response to the idea that the family will be asking questions like, why me, why them, like all the why questions that people in Greece ask.
Okay.
And the response is something like, right, Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. In other words, right, it's we read, even though we might not understand it, even though it confuses us, even though it's like bad for us, we affirm a righteousness to the functionary of the universe.
Yeah, we say this is a true judgment, and if it's good news, we say Baruch Atov V'Ametiv.
Right, but the fact that there's a bracha and not a kina is significant. You know what I mean? Conceptually speaking.
Yeah, I mean, in like Jewish philosophy, it would not be proper to like be commenting on things that happened without commenting on how good it was in some capacity.
Right, or
I mean, that's why that is such a carefully worded when it doesn't use the word tov.
Correct. Emet is something else. That's right. That's right.
That was something I had with a friend that like said he no longer believes in God. I said, fine, what does that mean?
You know that thing about it's not like encoded in there, but you know that thing about Emet being the first letter, the middle letter, and the final letter, whereas Sheker, which means lie, is
All the last
those
letter.
3 letters that are together but in the reverse order. Right? Which
It's not reverse,
say, right?
right? It goes for Christian.
Shin Kufay.
No, but it's Kuf ratio. Kuf shouldn't be
Yeah, you're right. But so it's both backwards. It's both backwards and outward.
No, it's only outward.
No.
I mean, the last one comes first, if that's what you want to roll with.
No, but what I'm saying is that, but it moves backwards, right? It moves the other direction of the alphabet.
It would be Sheker. It's Sheker. Go on.
So I'm saying it's out of order and backwards.
Fine. So what does that prove? That it's a lie?
That lies are crooked. That lies don't go in order. That lies go backwards. Whereas truth is representative of the whole and in order and forward because it's the first letter.
Okay, I'll tell you. That's
Exactly. It's just a drash.
Okay, I get it. But I just want to tell you that drush reminds me of the song from the little drug jingle from Arrested Development when they were like selling a drug. And here's how it goes. There's no I in chemosil, at least not where you think.
That's right. Oh, Chemosil. What a great series.
There's no I in chemosil, at least not where you think.
And at least not where you think. That's right.
I love that because I keep wondering if it's not between C and L.
What a great show.
Yeah.
Can I start calling you? Can I start calling you Bob Lala? Bob Blah Blah.
I like blah 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 blah. I follow blah blah. And he got replaced with like what they replaced him on Happy Days. They got like Scott Mann. Oh man, it went down terribly after it got canceled. When they tried to revive it twice, those were both bad.
They were
not as good as the original 4 seasons. That's true.
They weren't even close.
They weren't even close. That's because Netflix fucked them up.
They were trying. No, they tried an experimental thing. They thought people might watch Netflix episodes out of order. They didn't realize, like, no, it was just gonna like press play on the binge. They were trying to be too clever. But then they tried again. I think they tried to recut that one, and then they filmed another one, and it was still bad. Like they lost the magic. You know, it was a special time. Charlie Theron played like a mentally handicapped adult. Oh man, what a show!
Have all your kids gone back to school yet?
Not the youngest. August. His starts
Same.
tomorrow.
Same.
Yeah, they probably go to the same school.
No, my kid goes to that youngest one goes to like a very specialized sort of. No, I wouldn't call it a special needs school because it's for behavioral and other kinds of schools, but it's like a very special school. I love it. That starts out tomorrow. It's been a very long 3 weeks since camp ended.
Yeah, it's summer is tough without the childcare. I had a nanny helping, but mostly for the little one. Although my son, he came back like day before camp started. Like he came back Labor Day Sunday.
Ooh, a synagogue of Satan room.
Okay, so Rabbi, I want to steig out. What does synagogue of Satan really mean? What do you think?
So I think in context, it's the Christians pointing at particular Jews who are too cozy with the Romans and also reject Jesus. And they're pointing a finger and saying, "You're inauthentic Jews."
Okay,
Jews believe in Jesus and reject.
Okay, so that's clearly then being used as a ploy to say that the Jews are cozying up to the Romans, although obviously the Romans would not be Satan. So what would it mean to refer to an actual synagogue, a community of Jews that are somehow loyal to the rightfully appointed angel of God to enact judgment on humans and push them to their best?
What would it mean? Because you think because Satan is a
concept.
Right, but you want to say something like, tell me if this is what you say, that if Satan is the to try to get people to do better, why is that a bad thing to say?
Right, exactly.
Right,
well,
okay.
And synagogue of Satan, I'd say, what would we say would be like the attributes, the virtues within the synagogue of Satan? What would the congregants of such a synagogue engage in, and then can we comment on if that is good or bad behavior?
Right, so the rest of the verse is synagogue of Satan, quote, who say they are Jews and are not.
So does that mean that they're not actually Jewish?
Not halachically, but I think it means sort of conceptually. They're not doing the right thing according to. Plus, the church in Smyrna apparently was persecuting Jesus believers.
Then it sounds like it would just be saying it's like a false synagogue, like they're only pretending to be fake Jews.
I mean, it's not the right analogy, but I think it captures some of it. The way that, again, don't open this one, but the way that some Orthodox communities will look at some non-Orthodox communities and say, sure, they're Jewish, but they're not practicing Judaism.
I wouldn't say it's that necessarily, but it is.
Again, it's not an exact, right? But there's that like, little bit.
My criticism, the thing that strikes me is more the way Satan interacts. Like, Satan is a purifying force. And, like, if you do want to say, you can either say the shot, they are not Jews, they're just, like, pretenders and they're mingling in for some reason. Or the more likely, which is that it's being extreme and it's saying that they're not acting like Jews in this service of the synagogue of Satan. And which I would say, the Satan, strictly speaking, really, like, what is he? He's an accuser.
Which is exactly what the Church of Smyrna is doing to the Christians, according to the Book of Revelation. They are acting as Satan by persecuting them.
Which is why I'm saying, interpreted charitably, I'd say the better descriptor of the synagogue of Satan is a group of true Jews that are practicing Judaism, yet somehow their interpretation of Judaism results in accusations and oppression of other Jews.
Yes. I think in context it was about internal Jewish sectarianism, and later it became a way to be anti-Semitic.
Of which the rabbis agree. The crime that the Jews have considered is theirs to bear until the Third Temple is the disunity of the nation, that we fight each other. So this is not like a foreign teaching the Christians are using. They're using their rabbinic teaching. They're like, this is common.
Well, that's because early Christians are rabbinic.
But understand the weird gaslighting dancing that happens here. They're criticizing a group of Jews for criticizing Jews.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You see, it's an endless cycle, and they're creating it. I mean, like, I'm sure they were criticizing them, but, like, the answer to the question of how can you stop critical Jews from criticizing Jews without criticizing the Jews criticizing Jews?
You can't.
You can if you toe the line. If there's an actual correct answer, and it's not criticism, then it's simply insight and study, which is why the answer has always been the Torah. So it's not like that guy pointing out his Judaism is wrong. That guy's bad if he's pointing out anything other than the Torah. Just keep pointing out the Torah. That's the answer.
Right, except in rabbinic tradition, there's not one answer. Like, the return is, yes, study, plumb the texts, right? But the maintenance of the dialectic is primary.
Whereas the Christian, right? Whereas the rabbinic answer very simply says, you can't criticize Jews, so simply review the text. You'll understand for yourself, you'll understand what they're doing, and you'll have your own little opinion. Correct. The Christian did the same thing with their central doctrine.
Correct.
They said, I don't care how Jewish you look, act, or think. If it doesn't result in taking care of the little guy, you ain't Jewish. You're a synagogue of Satan. And then it just becomes an endless cycle of criticism to each other where they're not hearing each other because one is saying you're not following the law, and the other says you're not following the law because you're not very nice.
Something like that, right? But, like, I think the broader point here is if we consider the early Jesus movement as an insider to the rabbinic tradition, which I think a lot of ways it is. I could categorize lots of the New Testament Gospels, especially as like an extended midrash project.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that the Jews can understand the New Testament in ways the Christians probably never will.
Correct. Actually, there's a great volume called the Jewish Annotated New Testament.
Yeah, you referenced it before.
It's very good. Very good.
I have no doubt. Probably there with like ancient and at that point modern Jewish culture and like standards.
Yeah, and like what it does best, one of the things it does best is explain how different Torah biblical verses, Tanakh biblical verses are used right or used wrong, or whatever, the adjustments made and how they're being used, right? And that's midrash. All of that process is midrash, right? What is the trigger in the verse that then substantiates, right, the interpretation? And that's what the gospel do. That's what Paul does all the time, right? Because as it is written, is
like Judaic writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say it's a bit more cryptic and contradictory than usual. Like, Jewish writing always uses a ton of imagery to like reference, like, oh, there's a bird flying with a bucket. Like, okay, I get it, and the bird obviously means something, and like the rabbis remember what it was supposed to reference. But like the Christians just kind of like lean into the storytelling. It feels like they elaborate on it. It becomes a contradiction, and the lesson at the end is opaque. It's like a parody of prophetic statements.
That is an interesting perspective. I don't know if I agree with
jumping
it.
on me.
He's jumping on a meeting. Good luck. Who wants to hang out and just talk with Ishmael the gorilla? Probably not you.
Bananas?
It's interesting to hear you say that. Now, I was raised, I'm ethnically Jewish, 100%, and I was raised by two people who essentially had a bad childhood in their Orthodox upbringing. Like, And so anyway, I don't know, man. There's a lot about the New Testament that I find very attractive. Bad Jew? Does that mean I can't be Jewish?
No. I mean, it's a book.
The teachings of the New
It's
Testament.
like being scared that you like reading Frankenstein. It's a book. I'm sure it has a lot of nice things in it. Good stories.
I'm scared that I like watching gay porn.
Why? Why should that scare you?
Just. But listen, the teachings of Christianity are opaque. Are you sure about that?
No. I'm not saying the teachings are opaque. I'm saying there's a whole bunch of stories. Like the prodigal son. I always reference this because I think the prodigal son story. It's not clear to me what you're supposed to learn from the prodigal son.
What do you mean? That you all agree?
No, the prodigal son story is. I'm just saying, like, within the simplest narrative of there's a father, 2 kids. He's nice to one of them. One stays and helps him. The other one goes off and he's a jerk. The jerk comes back and he's like, "Yay!" The kid says, "Why are you being nice to the kid?" And the father says, "Because I am." He doesn't really answer. He's just like, "I'm nice to the kid." I'm like, well, what's the lesson there? That everyone should go out and be like awful and like disobey their parents because they'll agree and accept them eventually anyway. It just feels like an awful lesson. Prodigal son.
Yeah, but look at the word prodigal. That's like from base prodigy. So there's more to it than what you're saying.
Prodigal is not in the narrative itself. That was named by the English people that read it, and it means like the son that runs off.
Keep in mind that you're talking to a monkey. Who is the prodigal son?
Prodigal son is it's just a story. It's a story of a guy. He has 2 kids. One kid stays dutifully, does what his father says. The other kid is a dick and he runs away. He squanders his father's inheritance, and then he comes back after he's like been whoring and boozing, and he's like, Dad, help. And then Dad goes, "Oh yeah, of course, totally, you're my kid." And he helps him out and he lets him in. And then the other kid who's good, he's like, "That doesn't seem very fair. I was here the whole time." And his father's like, "Okay, but I like it." Like, that's the end of the story.
That makes sense to me.
No, you guys don't get it. You guys don't get it because you got to miniaturize the story and make it a personal motif, or like basically it always goes back to the pineal gland, meaning go within that the child who ran out and whored around, that's your ideas, that's your thoughts, that's your opinions. And then when you come back to base center and you eliminate all the conversation, you get back to the truth, which is the father. So you guys are not really looking at it in terms of metaphor, in terms of like self-actualization, maximalization.
No, I'm being very simplistic. I'm saying if I'm a child and I hear this story of a father with 2 kids, one that gets everything, the other that does everything the father wants, I'm going to be the one that wants everything rather than the one that does what the father wants. It's a simple choice to make.
I know, but all these stories have an ego death to it.
I've said this before. I feel like the story could be fine. I just think it needs like an ending. It needs to like
the ending is the ego death.
Responds to the son that has the objection. I feel the kid's objection remains unanswered, and I feel like that's a failure.
The kid's objection?
Yeah, the dutiful kid. The dutiful kid complains that the prodigal son gets his father's protection.
Everybody deserves love and that.
Yeah, but this is like Clubhouse. It's a bunch.
The dutiful son gets ignored.
Exactly. The dutiful son who complains is still in the wrong too. I mean, all of these perspectives and all of these relativities is you got to really try to view it from their perspective and then look at the positive and the negative of their perspective.
So then I shouldn't do the right thing. I should live the life of the prodigal son.
No, that's not what there is no moral story. There is no moral ending to that story. It's about relativity.
Have you guys read Dittmann, John? Have you read Dittmann? My Urban Nest?
No.
Oh my goodness gracious. But you like that type of shit. You would love this book, John. You open the book and it says, I only wanted to live in accordance with the promptings that came from my true self. Why was this so very difficult?
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. So listen, this book is not Ishmael, fuck Ishmael, Gorilla. Damien, it's about this young boy with a friend named Damien. It's like if I wrote a book called Adrian Dittmann, and the book was all about my friend Adrian. And anyway, this guy, Adrian, he's like very androgynous. He has many retellings of biblical stories in this book. So, for example, it said, there is the story of the two thieves on the cross with Jesus.
What happens in that story?
Do you remember that one, John, where Jesus is dying on the cross, and there's two thieves that he meets right before he dies on the cross?
Yeah, we know the story. Just make your point.
Well, I don't know if Big Zed knows it. Do you know the story, Big Zed?
Not well.
So basically, in a nutshell, one of the thieves repents and joins Jesus and says, I'm sorry for being a thief, that was bad. And the other thief doesn't repent. And presumably, we're supposed to conclude that the thief who repents goes to heaven, and the thief who doesn't repent goes to hell.
Okay.
Damien says, like you're saying, what are we supposed to do? Am I supposed to not try to be good, like the dutiful son? Am I supposed to just do whatever the hell I want?
Yes.
Follow the promptings? Yes. The answer that Jesus says is yes. Not Jesus necessarily, but that Damien says is yes. But the thief who repents on the cross is a bitch.
But he got to heaven.
No, he didn't. That's just make believe.
Oh,
He died. He died as
Goes to
died
hell?
as a dog. Outback Daddy. He died as a dog. He died crying.
Does he go to hell?
Right in the Outback Daddy. Listen, the point is.
Yeah, Ishmael, I don't think you understand, but that's metaphor too, man. Everything is metaphor and analog or abstract. What don't you get about that? You guys are so literal about everything.
That's a strong word. They're literary places.
The thief does not repent. Although he rejects the teaching of Jesus, he stays true to himself. His life as a thief has served him for his whole life, and it has led him.
Oh, the story is about how the thief bravely persevered and avoided repentance.
Yes.
That's a dumb story.
What was his name? Barnabas or something? No.
Oh, speaking of which, have either of you seen the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Trap?
No.
It's really good. It's surprisingly good. I really enjoyed it.
Man, you know, I was just organizing my DVDs and I saw Dinner with Andre. And I was actually kind of happy that I had it because I thought about you. And then I was like, well, I'll always have this to remember Clubhouse and McZad. And
I guarantee you will just watch that movie again at some point and you'll be shocked at what you forgot about it and what you're quasi interested in.
That's a great movie.
See, I told
Like
you.
that movie?
no, it's not that I didn't. It's not. I mean, I just like making fun of it because it's just two people having a conversation.
I know, it's not the weirdest fucking
And you know, but that's the thing is like that's the thing is it's just not complicated enough because good movies I think are just basic. It's not all this CGI shit. So it's a good movie, but it's just two people. There's just not enough.
Capture harmony of sound and visuals, which is why the epitome of cinema is action sequences where you can see, man, we watch humans because we're narcissistic. We don't just want to see a volcano exploding, but we want to see humans dancing or fighting each other. So it's musicals and it's action sequences, and the best is always action because it's justified violence. It's the stuff people want to do, and it's you create a contrivance in which it's justified, and then you play music to it. Boom! That is the epitome of cinema. Quentin Tarantino gets it.
You guys keep waiting for Godfrey.
No.
No, I saw Waiting for Godot.
He's waiting for Godfrey. At the end of the movie, he ends up working together. He memorabilia shop in New York City. That was Dinner with Andre action figures.
That's funny.
See, Dinner with Andre, it's like a podcast, but it's a movie. And then when you really listen to what they're talking about, you're just like, you know what? I don't like either of these annoying fucks. They're both horribly pathetic, especially the actor, the short, bald, ugly one, who's actually more famous. Well, anyways, I guess the more you talk about Dinner with Andre, the more famous it gets. So I'm just gonna stop talking about Dinner for Andre.
Can't
Dinner
stop
with
it.
Andre.
Part of cinema history.
You know, I asked my girlfriend about Dinner for Schmucks, and she said it was cringe.
Yeah, but you got to understand that it deals with hypnosis constantly, which I find to be very funny.
Yeah, John lives his life based on the insights from Dinner for Schmucks.
Well, welcome to the synagogue of Satan. That's what the synagogue of Satan is. It's Dinner for Schmucks, and Clown House is Dinner for Schmucks. I do think that this is modern day synagogue for Satan, which is, like you said, the accuser or the prosecutor.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's a mistake and role, right? The synagogue of Satan is bad because there already is a Satan. He doesn't need your help. He's an angel. If he wants to make life difficult for a great man, he'll do it. They don't need your help. Which is to say, the criticism itself is being a member of the synagogue of Satan, right? Anyone who accuses someone of being in the synagogue of Satan is making that very mistake, because accusation, prosecution, judgment, that's for God or the justice system. It's not for individuals to take. So I find it funny.
I get it.
They're incriminating themselves.
But see, this is my critique of you personally, or Caleb personally, or Ishmael, or myself, or anyone who actually believes in angels. You know, and when you say, well, duh, it's a literary technique. It's not literal, but you actually take it literally.
Those are the same thing. Literary technique and literal are identical.
My point is, if you really think that there's angels that have power and can bring down strong men because there's real angels, aka Lucifer or Satan or the devil, I mean,
There are angels.
okay, I know you say there are, and I've heard my father say there are, and I'm like, but Dad, I can open up a
They're being angels. Why is that so unbelievable?
Because other cultures have other
Okay, so who's to say those don't exist?
Listen, I'm just saying that it's a literary device. It's a mnemonic, or is technically a hypnosis.
Okay, I'd say they're just words and they have meanings behind them.
I know, but you don't actually believe that those meanings are literal, right?
No, I do. I think that people usually use the wrong meanings.
Well, I guess you could say it's literal, but it's not actually material. It's abstract. It's a thought. It's a concept.
All words are abstract thoughts.
I know, so that means you don't actually believe in what you say.
No, I do. It's just what I say is defined by others differently, incorrectly. Like in my school, with my conversations about angels, God, gods, idolatry, those all have meaning. Like we speak intelligibly to each other. But the way the rest of the world has defined angel or God or monotheism or Trinity, those differ from how I've defined them.
I know, so your club is technically the correct club. Yeah. You believe though that you're but don't you think
whether or not angels exist is just a question of definition. Whatever you say angel means, the definition.
I mean, can't you?
Reality or doesn't.
Don't you think you could admit and be honest and just say you're in a wizard club? Because Kabbalah and angels, yeah, this is wizardry from the 1600s, 1500s.
Why would it be wizardry and not just a monotheism club?
Because you're doing wizardry in a monotheism club.
I'm not doing wizardry. What magic powers do I have?
Well, you talk with angels. You try to communicate with.
Talk to angels.
You talk with each other about angels in your club, in your wizard club.
Not often. No, we don't really.
I mean, I'm being facetious, but you know, I got to tell you, from reading enough books on magic and the occult and looking at Kabbalah, I'm just like, yeah, these Orthodox Jews won't admit it, but they're technically in an occult wizard club, and they're just like Greek Orthodox priests who wear those black vestments, or even Catholics. Like, you guys are competing wizard religions.
Listen, I won't say that you can't find Orthodox people that are in a weird kind of like wizard cult, and they think that their rabbis have superpowers, or certain dead rabbis have superpowers. Like, that exists. It doesn't mean that I'm in that just because I'm an Orthodox Jew.
No, I know, but I'm using you as my totem, I suppose, or something, you know, to
and like
discuss my theory.
I am a member of also doesn't engage in said that all the magic is just treachery. It's just a trick of some kind.
Okay, well, you've satisfied all my demands.
Yeah, he's been around for 1,000 years. I can be my monarchy and still be Jewish. The Jews? Well, I don't, because they're not that comfortable, but you mean like the guys that are in uniforms all day? They like uniforms. Uniforms, they're practical. Think about it. You have like one style of outfit, so you have a full wardrobe, you always look the same as all your friends, and you always look presentable. If the president were to show up, you'd have a jacket, you'd have slacks, a white button-down shirt.
Yeah.
And like, those techniques were not like invented by them. Like, the idea of fascism and fashion was...
Listen, this is what happened in ancient Lithuania in 1585. Somebody brought a picture from Russia of an emperor penguin, and some incredible haberdasher was like, you know what, this could be a thing. And they fashioned, the black and white off of an emperor penguin. Not many people know that, but actually Reb Nachman, he sent a blessing of the emperor penguin and said, my people shall be clothed in this manner henceforth.
How'd they get a picture in 1555?
That was the miracle. Ribono Shel Olam, I'm just saying I haven't said Shema yet, and I would like to be a better Jew, to better myself, to better my community, to better my future family that I do not have. But maybe...
What commandments does it have in the paragraphs of the Shema?
The word Shema, the first word, when you break it down, it's she and then ma. So that's like obviously a reference to a feminine deity, obviously.
In the first paragraph, they say, you shall teach this to your sons, and you shall speak it regularly when you're waking up, when you're lying down, when you're walking along the way, when you're sitting at home, and you should strap it to your arm, and you should put it between your eyes, and you should say it every day. Nope, we take it literally. We do literally strap those partially to our arm and in between our eyes.
Do you know the famous Professor C.G. Jung out of Switzerland? That famous... Yeah. Okay, Mr. Damien, I heard it already. Don't repeat yourself. My point is I recently bought a book by a doctor, aka, actually it doesn't say doctor, it says Rabbi Jung. And it's a book about how to rap tefillin, written by a famous professor / rabbi out of Brooklyn called, Rabbi Jung. And I was like, no way. How's that possible that in Switzerland you have this, mystic, aka Christian Freemasonic mystic, discussing, extraordinarily deep things about the collective unconscious and psychology. But then in Brooklyn, you have a Jewish Jung writing a book about tefillin. So, that's,
I think what you need to sort of appreciate a little is that there will always be a desire within humanity for superstition. Man has tremendous curiosity and a tremendous handicap in understanding and satisfying his curiosity. We want to know how everything works. And when we figured out how everything works, there's another question. Well, why does it work that way? Right? There's no end to human curiosity, and there are limitations to what we can actually figure out. As a result of this natural paradox, everyone stops at some point. No one ever figures out everything. And some people stop very early, but the curiosity is still there. They still want to know how things work. So they'll just pick things up. Bad answers that may have been around for thousands of years. An answer given by a friendly person or a particularly successful person. Humans will continue to incorporate bad ideas regularly into their lifestyle so long as we are on the planet.
I know, but that's because they don't pick up myth or origin stories, and that means being original. If you want to be original, this is what I've heard Alan Watts say, you have to use origin stories. And if you look at all these comic book movies that are very successful, everyone has their origin story, you know, if you want to go into the pantheon. So, you know, it's a recurring motif. And this is my critique of Orthodox Jews, you know, that
I wouldn't say that if you want to be like originally an origin story, that feels like self-centered, independent nonsense. That's like a recipe for narcissism. It's like try to invent your own narrative of how great you are in the world. Whereas, like, I think the truer position is you're just like a human animal. You're gonna live and die like all the other human animals. You'll probably be forgotten. Maybe quickly, maybe a little while after you're gone.
yeah, that's fine, but look at the movie Dune. Look at the movie Dune, or even the Mashiach. You know,
maybe we'll get the water back.
No, meaning that life is really about answering the big question about God, because that seems to me to be like the big stumbling block in a lot of people's
life to figure out if there's a God.
Yeah, that's a big equation. That's a big database you got to accumulate to be able to.
Why is that important for how you live life?
Because it gives you great confidence and joy in all future events.
Well, then why not just choose confidence and joy in all future events?
Because not many people have a database complicated enough like yours to fully understand that.
No, I'm saying, like, if you say the question is whether or not God exists, that's like the ultimate meaning. I say why. You say, well, because then I'll be like happier this way. I'll be more optimistic for the future. So you say, okay, so just be more optimistic for the future. You don't need to answer.
That's not what I'm trying. I'm just asking. I'm just presenting the broad question. But listen, the second point that I'm trying to make is that I lost what my second point was based off of the first one. The
most important than whether or not God exists, and all of the superstitions and mysterious magic men that give us the secrets of the universe. By the way, scientists are also kind of wizard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly agreeing with each other.
Ishmael, also your mic is really low. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
The argument I would make against that.
All right, pop quiz. Pop quiz.
Okay, but before you ask, my answer is the hot.
Okay, fine.
Is it better?
Thanks. Yeah,
This
that's
is a brand new microphone.
the pop quiz. And this, I think, is a little bit to back up Adrian's position. A little bit. What's the first question asked in the Torah?
Oh, that's a fun question. Are you? Where am I?
Where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you? And the answer to that is something like, not only where am I now, but where do I come from? I had a teacher who said that the rest of the Torah is the response to that question.
Oh, like, where are you?
Where are you? In other words, telling your story is the answer to the question of where are you.
Okay, so that was the critique I was giving on John's point. In terms of one being original and having an origin story, I guess that's like true. If someone is original, then they have an origin story. But like an origin story is just like a fact. All things have it, and the notable ones we track. Trying to invent your own seems to be like a recipe for narcissism. I'd say rather than like aiming for originality, which seems like a weird kind of pursuit, I'd say that
You can't aim though for originality. You can only draw from the origin.
Draw from the origin. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's right. Right? Like, most of the origin stories we have are allusions to earlier stories.
Is this better?
They're reworkings.
Yeah, it's better.
They're reworkings of earlier stories.
What's your response to the indigenous creation myths all around the world? Are those all?
Might be true. I wasn't there. Yeah, I don't know. Like
what's wrong with pantheism?
Nothing. No, it's fine. No, it's fine, but in the abstract, right, as a system of organizing, there's nothing wrong with it. It has some challenges. Might have some deficiencies up against some other systems.
So you're
In the abstract.
Well, Caleb, I would say if you could convert all of humanity to the same, would you want to convert all of humanity to the same religion? Wouldn't that be convenient? No, you don't think so?
No.
see,
Well,
you guys
I
are
do.
Ishmael. I think you're
I think
missing.
the universe. Oh wait, I'll explain why. I think the universe is too vast to have everybody have the same. Right?
Forget the universe. Let's just focus on
One
Earth.
second.
But the universe is very big. Just focus on Earth.
Yeah, just Earth. 1 second. 1 second. It's like everybody blindfolded in the room touching a part of the elephant. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to remove. I don't think everybody can. You can't hold the same part of. You can't hold the whole elephant at the same time.
Yeah, I would say that before the Jewish religion or even the Abrahamic approach to religion was started, there was a change in humanity with the different languages. If everyone on Earth spoke one language, then yeah, I could get behind the global religion. But they don't. And I don't think
They do.
will.
They did, and they could. They can. We could.
Dude. I believe that when God changed humans to have multiple languages, that was in the nature of humans now. We have different ways of thinking about things and seeing things. I don't think the languages will change. And
Can I ask?
I don't believe that religions can basically jump over languages. I think they're pretty much native to their language.
So you actually believe in it all, literally, the Garden of Eden and all that?
Well, like it was a place?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you believe, do you really believe there was a time when all the people spoke the same language? Literally, because I would say there's a time when.
Listen. Technically, under a strict history of philosophy type of setting, there was a point in which there was only one language. It just may not have been longer than the first two guys to grunt at each other enough.
No, I mean, what about the actual? I mean, see, you guys. I think you have to just break it down to individual words like Babylon or Babel. I mean, these are just such vast abstract concepts that when you start asking questions, you really fuck up the conversation. I got to tell you, Ishmael. And I think everyone on this app who asks questions fuck the whole thing up. You should just state your opinion and what you know and leave it at that.
All right. Noted.
Yeah, basically, I think that humans, part of their nature, part of what they are, is their language. It's how they think, and they're raised up in whatever house. They start with their parent language. They can maybe be bilingual, but it's basically the way you think. And humans are still like animals. They get one, maybe a couple, but that's their operating system. And I don't see that changing. And I think that cultures, communities, mores, concepts, they're really kind of localized in each one of those languages.
Well, I think it would be good if we could convert all of humanity to the same religion, and I think that religion should be pantheism.
Okay, so here's the problem with pantheism. Pantheism is the theory that there are forces of the universe and that they're all identical to the universe and they are conscious, sentient operators within that. It's baking a lot to the universe. It's saying the universe is all of the things. The problem with that is how does it what governs? What delineates when the forces of magnetism play nicely with the forces of gravity?
Have you ever seen? Do you have Instagram? Oh, I'm not supposed to answer. I'm not supposed to ask questions. I follow an account on Instagram called Nature is Metal.
No,
and I think I don't care because I'm not asking questions. I'm telling you what I think.
Oh, it's answering your question.
I didn't. I redacted my question. So I think, regardless of whether or not you have Instagram, I like watching these videos on Nature is Metal, and it has videos of animals eating each other. And I think it's a nice reminder of how the world that God made works.
Yes. We eat each other here.
Yes, they eat each other. I mean, we don't eat. I've never eaten a person, but I did see a video of a bunch of lions eating the face of a hippopotamus that I thought was a very nice reminder.
Yikes. Hippos are dangerous. They kill a lot.
No more questions. So much for the Socratic method.
Yeah, your Socratic method is not a method. It's a stupid conversation.
Right, well, obviously, I mean, I am Ishmael the Gorilla. Have you guys read Ishmael by Daniel Quinn? Or have you ever heard of Derek Jensen? I was going to say, too, there was a time when humans spoke the same language. Maybe it was the time when the first two guys grunted at each other, although arguably humanity evolved in different places.
For a while after that, I'm sure.
Possibly there were different types of humanities to evolve in different places. There was the Hobbit people, there was the Neanderthals, there was the people from Africa. They all had sex with each other, and that's why some people have an ugly face. But there was a time when all people spoke the same language. Derek Jensen calls it the language older than words. And the idea is that for the first few 100,000 years, well, it was kind of a language. It was the language. I mean, do you know much about what was going on?
Please, no questions, Ishmael the Gorilla.
No questions, please.
No questions.
Yeah, just try to talk without questions, please.
It's a challenge. It's a good challenge. I accept.
But the era of the single language would be lost to us because they had not yet developed the technology of writing. As far back as we can figure is like 20,000 years. And we know that humans were around for 200,000. And that means fully evolved, probably with language somewhere within the 200,000 years. That's like thousands. That's epochs, eons, that humans were spreading around the world and could have been understanding each other perfectly from the beginning. We don't know. Like the eras that are lost to us, you can't even begin. Like Atlantis is probably a genuine place. Like they pretty much found it.
But I would declare that technically at this very moment, everyone on the whole planet actually speaks the same language, and that is essentially known as the direct pointing method or the language of silence.
Communication is different than language.
Yeah, that's fine. But as languages become particular and the unique symbolism of this language versus that language, because all words are just symbolic.
It all comes down.
Right.
That's right. All communication is hypnosis.
All communication begins in misunderstanding. And the success of the communication is whether you can jump the gap right back to the communication silence, even if you're using words. Right? Words are the replacement for the communication of silence because we became so linguistic and we developed culture. Culture is very forceful. Very forceful. In fact, culture might be everything in terms of the new human condition.
Well, look at the word culture.
Yeah, I think that's the part of
Look at the word culture. Cult.
Distinctive cultures.
Well, I mean, the word cult is in culture. You can't deny it.
Yeah, a cult is an offshoot of some existing society that aspires to develop its own culture. They are a cult because they haven't yet developed their own culture. So the existing society views them as a deviation, which it is.
Yeah, the cult that's right. And cult simply means, a set of ideas and a set of practices.
Yeah. Like, technically a company, like a formal corporate entity, is a kind of a cult. That's why there's a corporate culture.
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
And they do it with, like, strict laws, and they obey all the principles, and it's ordinary ways. But in the end, this is what we do here. You do it like this. Don't do it that way. We want profits. Why? It says so.
And that's why in corporate culture, that's why I had it in my first synagogue job. There was a button attached to the window shades that said, "We've always done it this way," with a line crossed through it. Culture can be stultifying and ossifying.
Well, look at the word corporation. The root words are core or cooperation. And then when you look at cult, it's like culling, which is like prodding. And I just kind of view them as being one being a for-profit and the other one being a nonprofit.
Well, that's the thing, right? Humans are never going to stop organizing groups.
Right.
Ever.
And what's weird about the organization of humans, right? Getting back to communication, if all communication starts in miscommunication and like the groups of humans are always more capable and scary and amazing than the single humans, that means the power isn't in any of the people. It's mystical. It's the abstract ideas. Whatever ideas those group of people are discussing. If Apple is just such a great idea that they keep discussing back and forth, then that is the powerful group that will outlive us all. So in the end, the idea is more powerful than any of the people, because that's the thing all the people are attaching to. So the idea trumps the person. Weird.
But success is technically who can who can mass communicate not just the best ideas, but it could be the biggest lies repeated over and over again. So I'm just saying, in terms of communication theory, I've recently purchased a bunch of books on the topic.
Hitler educated the world. The answer to your question is the guy with the first loudspeaker.
Right. And you'll hear people on this app actually say, excuse me, I hate to use a loud mic, but I gotta do it. And then when people do use the loud mic, it does drown out all the other speakers.
That's the bluntest of communication tools.
So there's a book, it's called The Simulacrum.
It's acknowledging the mechanical process of the power of the idea, right? A pure, true idea that everyone can see and understand. That's amazing. Everyone will see it. Everyone will be united. That idea will be the most powerful idea, greater than any person. However, I still got to communicate that idea to people, right? Even if I have this perfect idea that's easily accessible, they didn't hear it. They're in the back. If I technologically get the idea further than the perfect idea, it doesn't matter if my idea is perfect. Mine is the first one heard. And I get other principles, right? So, like, first mover advantage. I was the first idea he was thinking about, right? I raised him with these ideas. It doesn't matter how great, perfect, and pure and true your idea is. This kid knows what I tell him.
Yeah. That's like the Amelia Earhart. That's the Amelia Earhart theory, meaning if you're first to marketplace, you'll always be remembered as being the brand of that category. So by instilling an early programming, particularly through Orthodox Jewish, educational day schools, you're setting your kid up for a programmatic success because you're giving that individual origin stories to draw from. That's my opinion.
It's a fair point. I do think that religion is part of how cultures maintain their history and their philosophy, theology, morality, their grasp on life. And I think that having that over a sustained period, like, with people constantly reviewing it and taking it seriously, creates a massive library, a catalog for all of the different descendants that will pop up throughout time. Right? They're all trying to communicate to themselves about the past and the future. And so it becomes one large organization through time.
Well, what I like to do is mantras, and so I just repeat a word over and over again. And so I think you can do it with any word. And so I was doing it with the word God yesterday in the shower, and I realized that it's really the word go. And then backwards, it's the Kabbalistic dog, which means do. So if God means anything, it means go, do God, or do go. And so,
That's because God is a verb and not a noun.
Okay, but what did Abraham say? He's like, or God say to Abraham, go, what's the big expression with Abraham? Lech lecha. So
Get out.
So that's the technical action of God, which is really what you need to do in this existence for success. And I was crying to this rabbi in Redondo Beach at the Chabad. His name, I did a mikveh building class with him. Anyways, the point is just the most amazing rabbi. His name is Zalman Gordon. And after all my crying and bullshit, he just looked at me, stone faced, not emotional in the slightest. He just looked at me and said, "John, go home and be productive."
That's because we are not human beings. We are human doings. The whole thing is doing. Gotta do stuff. And that, right? What wires together, what fires together, wires together.
Yes. So, I mean, for me, just the action, which is like karma, which people think it's, opposite and equal reaction. It's not. It's go, do.
It doesn't have to be opposite and equal reaction. It has to be, but it is reaction. It is response of the universe.
So, I mean, if you think, when you talk about the whole universe, is that not the true God mechanism? Is it not the all?
I think so. Spinoza thought so. Kabbalists think so.
So does that mean the universe is? Well, that's the theory, is that the universe or the all is the mechanism of the all or of God.
No, but I think the idea is that all is processes.
Meaning that
the all is systems.
The
In
all.
other words, think about our bodies. Our bodies are simply collections of systems interacting with each other.
What I'm saying is,
That's what we are. Systems.
what I,
I would look at it differently. If you wanted to say that the universe was like a perfect organism and like this thing was like the eye and that's like the liver and kidney, and we all function together as parts of a whole, I'm fine with that. I wouldn't call that God. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that like my conception of God is removed from all of that. There is a way that all that stuff works, right? Meaning like if you are the parts of your body, you've got your fingernails, your fingers, your hands, your tongue, all of those bits. There is a plan, a blueprint of you that puts it all together, like DNA or whatever. This is saying this goes here, that goes there, it functions like that. That's the organizing principle of you. That is the governing thing. Like I could write a book, and that abstract concept is everything you'll ever do, everything you ever are, every way you'll ever be. And that is the truth of you, removed from the actual body. So I'd say in the same way with the universe, if you want to say that the universe is one giant body all functional together as a whole, then God is outside of that as some abstract organizing principle that controls it. Seems like he's outside the world, not part of it.
Well, that's, I think there are different theistic models, right? You're talking about the sort of very classic one. Then you might talk about pantheism or panentheism, which I think I lean towards, which is we are the consciousness of God. Humans and the universe is actually God's function. Now, that raises a question. Who created it? That's a question.
That one's tricky. I don't like that answer. That's like some weird, it's a cute, elegant. I think it's kind of actually a Hinduistic answer to say that
Yes.
we are the consciousness of the universe.
Yeah, because I think consciousness is fundamental.
I don't. That's fine. If consciousness is fundamental, that wouldn't be us being the consciousness. It would be like some iteration of some small portions of reality.
well, can I just interrupt real?
We are expressions of the shared original fundamental consciousness.
Can I just interrupt and interject that amongst Judaism, Hinduism, that basically in Hinduism, God created reality with the Hebrew letters, manifested magically through those letters. If you look at Hinduism, I'm just trying to say that the world religions are essentially expansionistic, but God recedes. So the all or the universe is really a thoughtiverse, because we're here so short, we're here so just a few hours, and then we disappear. Everyone in this room is going to disappear in a couple of hours, literally. I mean, it's not many hours. You're on an expiration clock.
Yeah, but why should the fleeting moment of now feel any different to you than all of the fleeting moments of now you've lived through already?
Well, I'm saying that the now is all there is, and this is the synagogue of Satan.
Yeah, but what about all those nows and was? You had those. You remember them.
Well, was, Tao, Zen, you, God. I believe in the 3-letter word conspiracy. I think that's the real meaning of the Trinity.
Well, God was now.
So, in terms of Hollywood and screen scripts and content, to me, this is how you create great content: is you use these source words from origin stories to create even AI images. I've been creating AI images of the I, EYE, about love. And the AI images coming out of my Copilot AI, generator are incredible. And I'm getting a lot of views on X with all my artwork. Actually, your symbol, inspired me. I should try to create some sort of Damocles Copilot images, see what comes out.
That's cool. What do you mean by Copilot images? What does that mean?
So it's an app. It's called Copilot, and it's just basically an AI generator. You just tell it what you want it to make.
You just make a bunch of images of a certain style.
So you create a prompt or a command. So I'm going to say create
AI image.
sword of Damocles mixed with the all-seeing eye and pepper it with love symbols.
Oh, great new world and wondrous people in it.
I mean, imagine trying to create AI images of the greatest scenes in Jewish history.
Yeah, a friend of mine does that.
I've seen
that for his Torah blog.
Oh, this looks really nice. I've seen some incredible, Hasidic paintings. I bought a book by a Hasidic artist, and just the pictures of shtetl life and the beauty of it, but also the background of the beauty of what they're doing in their humble houses. I mean, America, my grandparents came from Kiev and they went through Ellis Island, and I have their Hebrew Bible, and but everybody got murdered over there. They literally got out with nothing, sitting on a boat, just like the movie Godfather 2. Yeah, sorry, Dan, please. So I guess my point about all of this, all conversation is astrology and Kabbalah. But, that's why I say magic or wizardry is inherent in the symbolism, especially when you look at history, the 1600s, and really Dr. John Dee, who was working with the Queen of England and doing this Kabbalistic, angelic, symbolic communication, which is really, I would say, a database pre-software, meaning that they're taking these huge abstract concepts, tying in their destiny with the solar system, and using it as a form of self-hypnosis or self-propaganda in order to accomplish, life-saving measures, but also political expansionism, because British and French, all that stuff. I'm just saying that the esoteric philosophies and alchemical wizard work of Dr. John Dee and a lot of other people who are into Kabbalah, whether it's Christian Kabbalah or Jewish Kabbalah, I'm just saying it's tied into world history.
What is Christian Kabbalah?
It is Christians who are Kabbalists. There's a lot of them out there.
Interesting. It just sounds like yo, Mike comes. Fuck you, Michael. I'm speaking.
Suck it.
Yeah, I'm like really interested to know what Christian Kabbalah.
I didn't create the term. I read about it. I read that there's,
If you read about it, then you can discuss it.
I know, but I think what you're trying to imply is that I am doing cultural appropriation or something.
No, you definitely are doing cultural appropriation.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up early, because I know through your amazing Socratic method, you're going to try to corner me as some type of cryptic Christian Kabbalist.
Not cornering anyone. I'm having a conversation. That's how conversations work. You speak, I ask questions, you answer them.
I agree. So what does God spell backwards?
Your mom.
Does she bark? Does she bark like a dog?
All right, everybody.
There we go. Let's let the rabbi, please, young lady, a man is speaking. Young lady, a man is speaking. Please, Rabbi, moderate.
Adrian, you've been great. You've been great for a while. But I think we're done now.
Actually, no. I actually got on stage because I wanted to hear more about his perspective on astrology and how it ties into his Christian version of Kabbalah.
He's not just. That's it.
He's alluding to the fact that there is an actual Main Street cultish idea that you kind of look over everything else that Judaism teaches and how it actually segues to Kabbalah. And those that are like Madonna, I don't know, proselytize the idea of how spiritual it is and that anybody else can join, which pretty much is a cult because you have to pay to be in it, right? So it's this thing where a lot of Christians are like, well, I don't want to be kind of Jewish, but I like Jewish mystical
That's not
because I'm very
That's not what the Kabbalah Center is. Even though they're frauds and charlatans.
Are you kidding me?
No. Listen, Michael.
Okay.
Just take a breath. The Kabbalah Center is attempting to be popular Judaism, mystical Judaism for the masses, right? It's not this specific thing that Adrian's talking about, Christian Kabbalah. Christian Kabbalah is a fairly developed esoteric tradition, relying on some of the many Kabbalistic themes and running Christianity through that lens. There's also other Christian mysticisms that don't rely on Kabbalah. One of the things we see, though, about mystical systems across cultures and across geography is that there's a remarkable similarity between all of them. So the question of propriety over certain kinds of systems, especially given the information age in which we live, is an important question. Who is appropriating? How are they appropriating? Is it native to their culture? Is it not native to their culture? I think it's a bit more complicated than simply, some kind of theft. Though I would call it some kind of theft, but I don't think it's that simple.
Right. Well, I think what I interpreted what Edmund was saying is that it absolutely appeals to those longing for a spiritual connection that happens to be of another background, such as Christianity, right? And I mean, I see it in my town, where the Kabbalah Center was, where they very much not kind of prayed, but kind of took the opportunity of everybody, and it happened to be a lot of Christians. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that I've noticed from my own anecdotes were a lot of those who were married to Jewish men, but wanted to have a Jewish connection, but didn't want it to convert, so they became Kabbalistic.
So like you would have like a Colombian wife or an Asian wife, and all of a sudden they're a Kabbalist of some sort.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes of the Kabbalah Center types is to remove the Kabbalistic system from its container, which is sort of normative Judaism. Can't really understand it except in like a full Jewish life. The strategy of trying to universalize those, I think I get the move, right? I get the strategy. And I don't really begrudge the strategy. People are seeking for a lot of meaning in their lives. I think we live meaningless existences these days on our phones, partially. So, like, I get it. There is a developed, I wouldn't call it Kabbalistic. I would just call it mystical, and they're just stealing the word, right? I haven't seen Christian Kabbalah use words like typical Kabbalah. Like, they're not using words like Tzimtzum or Chesed or Tiferet. Like, I don't see them using classical Kabbalah. They're just saying it as mysticism.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
I totally agree. I think it's those that are Christian that are seeking an alternative. That it's those that are Christian and leaving the Christian faith, but want something else aside from just the typical monotheistic kind of idea, right? They're just looking for something a little bit more mysticism. So they happen to be Christian, and then they follow those teachings, right? So it's not like, oh, there are teachings of Kabbalism in Christianity. It's just those that are Christian that looking to seek, mysticism.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think Kabbalah is as new as we think it is, right? We might say that some people might say, oh, the Kabbalic system only exists like once Luria and things like that, but that's not really true. We have Kabbalists much earlier than that in the Middle Ages in Spain and places like that, and even earlier than that. In fact, most academic Kabbalah departments are going to argue that the roots of the Kabbalistic system are from the 1st and 2nd century. So there is a claim that I think Christians can make if they want to make a Jewish roots argument. There is a partial claim to say that those could be inherited traditions from the earliest stages of Rabbinic Judaism and even before. I don't buy that claim, but I think there is a way to argue that.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go teach some Jews some things.
Thank you, Em.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's not a simple thing, and I think we should be mindful of this kind of misappropriation. We should be, but we should, I think, describe it accurately. And I think there are much more dangerous ones than Christian Kabbalists. Personally, I think like Hebrew roots, Jews for Jesus, Messianic Judaism. I think those are much more.
I think we should call out hypocrisy wherever it is. That's my belief. I wasn't saying. I mean, if someone's going to say something and lump it together with Judaism, I think it's my job as a Jew to kind of call it out.
I think it's nuanced, and I think it's there's a lane for everybody as long as it's not destructive to others, and just that's it. Stay here.
Hold on, Michael. איתן, איך אתה מרגיש?
Hey, תודה רבה. תודה ששאלת. Thank you for asking. Okay, thank you.
Bravakasha.
Thank you too. Yeah, it's been a rough week, but it's just spend time with some people. Just gonna get
to Florida. Cures everything.
I mean, vacation on any beach, I think, is restorative. But I just like.
Yeah, I'm in Israel. It's like Florida plus, I think. Buddy left. Well, it's cool seeing you moderating. You open up the room, Caleb?
No, Rhodey, it got to be like a baby rush in here with me and McZed, and Rhodey doesn't like that. So, Rhodey didn't want to talk about that, so he appointed me, and I appointed McZed.
Wow. Yeah, Rhodey likes the politics. Sure.
Yep.
You know, I just want to be in love.
You really want to be in love?
So what's stopping you? Be in love.
Yeah.
So I have a single sister, Michael.
Oh my.
She might be too old for you.
So Twitter is degenerating. Does anyone have a Twitter?
Why are you being nebbish?
What does that word mean? What's nebbish? I'm gonna Google it.
Nevin is a nerd. It's like a nerd.
Big Woody Allen. That means anything to anyone here. Oh, Woody Allen. Nothing more nebishes.
Isn't Nevish like nerd? Well, like things don't work out for him, like a loser.
Yeah, I've heard it used in that way too. I mean, like, oh, he did it.
Like, yeah, coming in, like, talking about how, oh no, the world is, like, gonna end.
Yeah, like a Debbie Downer. Debbie Downer
Like,
is Nevish.
Twitter.
That's not a nerd. That's like a pessimist.
Yeah, and Nevish is like pessimist because he's always like saying, "Woe is me."
Whoa, that mean?
Yeah, you guys saw Twitter though. Tucker Carlson had on a Nazi apologist. I'm gonna explain it because maybe you guys haven't been talking about it.
Apologize for Nazism.
Oh boy, here we go.
For Hitler's Nazism, but then Tucker Carlson didn't have many views on this, but Elon Musk, probably not even thinking, quoted the tweet and was like, "This is a very interesting insight. This guy's literally straight up a Nazi." And then this podcast went from like, I don't know, 1 million views to 20 million views, and now everybody's talking about it. Elon clearly knows he fucked up because he deleted his tweet, but he hasn't said anything about it.
Did you say Elon Musk praised the neo-Nazi?
He thought the interview was interesting in his tweet. But the interview...
Yeah, Elon lives in like 30-second iterations. He's floating throughout the day. Tweet.
I just live in 10-second interventions now. And then I refresh every 10 seconds.
Like topics and then just say, oh, that looks cool. And then retweeting out. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, I do not think Elon Musk is anti-Semitic. I just don't think... I actually 100% believe he is not. He just made a mistake.
He doesn't give a shit. He just wants freedom of speech and he wants to run his company. He's evaluated for a very,
No, but he doesn't want to endorse Nazis. It's definitely an accident that he endorsed this Nazi.
Of course, and he's already proven his worth as a PR campaign that he is for Israel and those that are Jewish. And he's done this numerous times, and stop.
His family is from East Germany. I'm not saying he's an anti-Semite. But I was laughing at what somebody said that he lives in like 10-second intervals because, I create a lot of these YouTube reels and they're 60 seconds or 15 seconds. And my point is, there's an expression by Alan Watts. He says, "You're under no obligation to be who you were 5 minutes ago, But you could also say you're under no obligation to be who you were 10 seconds ago. And so it's just basic.
You're still going to use the same language and same memories. Like, you are kind of bound.
I know, but you can upload new information into your brain by reading books.
Yeah, but you don't have to do stuff all the time. It's already in your brain. You're still you.
I get it, but you're adding to it. When is the soup?
You don't have to be your same person after 10 minutes.
Well, you're generally the same person.
There's no escape.
Generally. But what I'm saying is if you have a soup and you fuck up and you put something nasty in your soup, it ruins the whole fucking pot.
Can someone tell me who he endorsed?
Trump.
Daryl Cooper.
Elon Musk is 100% behind Trump. 100%. He just interviewed him and had the biggest X experience ever, and he's giving him supposedly $1 million a day. Yeah, it's called X Spaces. It's social audio. Listen, I am Adrian Dittmann, aka Elon Musk, and every night of the week, Elon Musk goes live on X. It's called The Conversation. His name is Adrian Dittmann, and I have been parodying him, and he knows it's me. He knows my face. He's blocked me. He says, bro, stop doxing me. You're not allowed to film my fucking rooms. They're not on replays for a fucking reason.
Who is this?
Elon Musk. He's Adrian Dittmann on X. That's his nom de plume.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, imagine me who's been recording Clubhouse for over 4 years. I find out that Adrian Dittmann is Elon Musk, and next thing you know, I start opportunity costing, what I'm listening to and what I'm recording. And turns out everybody on Clubhouse, except for some of you gentlemen, are not worth their time, in terms of me hitting a button. So Adrian Dittmann is my gold. Like, my videos of Elon Musk are going viral because he's a fart. He's just a human being who eats and farts,
I just threw my hair from it, and I like the bottom of this room. Once
I agree.
So what do you think? How do you view the green bean in terms of fascism? Because I feel like if you get a green bean, you generally, even though you may represent yourself as a Democrat, you're actually more of a conservative fascist than you know.
Yeah, the more liberal you are, the more of a fascist you be, and then the more conservative you are. No, wait, no, I did the reverse. No, the reverse. Sorry. But more liberal you are, more of a communist you become, and then more conservative you are, the more fascist you be.
bottom line, it's not easy being green. I just have to figure out what to make one mod here. Everybody want to make me here, I'm going to make you a mod.
Yeah, mod. That's what I say is mod everyone, because if you can't have a
Did I like move to the that was a mistake.
fascist.
Adrian, and we read look for him to break the speak. Mistake everybody.
Wait, what happened? Where'd everybody go?
No, what I do that all the time. What I'm trying to say is that everybody should technically be modded, because if the room falls apart because somebody has word vomit diarrhea, then the room is just it's kind of pointless anyways. And so platforming Jew hate on this app is a syndrome. And I think a lot of people give a lot of people grace to let people platform, but I always shout down the platformers. That's just me.
I think everybody out here is stupid.
I don't pay any attention to anybody on this app.
Buenos dias, everybody.
Buenos dias, ¿cómo estás?
Dame la papita.
Oh, you're looking at. You're gonna regret modding me. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That's chill. Right after I said that, I was like, they're gonna move me down. I'm doing it.
We got Adrian as a mod. So
So I guarantee you that this room will bring in a Jew derangement syndrome. Like someone in this room probably has JDS, or we're gonna bring people in who have TDS. I mean JDS.
Adrian, I wanted to address something that you brought up, man, and I'll be honest with you. Being on this app for like the last 3 years now, for me, I've witnessed, even in some of my brothers, I've witnessed a lot of anti-Semitism. I don't agree with it. I speak out against it. My brothers actually don't like the fact that as a Muslim, I sit amongst Jews, whatever. But I come with a level of peace, man. I try to bridge the gap, man. And unfortunately, I get a lot of pushback myself.
You're not. We don't think you are. Period.
No, I know. But I've witnessed it, man. And again, me speaking out against it, some of the brothers try to justify it, man, and they're wrong. They're wrong. However, even amongst my brothers in Judaism, I've witnessed a level of anti-blackness as well. And I brought it up.
Yeah, but now you're doing race politics, sir. You're doing identity politics.
No. I mean, I just think that, as a person that has a moderate type of thinking, a progressive type of thinking, I think that as a community, we're both marginalized. I think that there should be a level of respect. And I know I'm not casting a net on everybody, but what I'm saying is that what I hear. So it's unfortunate. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You might be the guy that asked that, or I don't know. Do you notice when they start talking between the groups, and then it becomes what we call the oppression Olympics? Like we suffer more, no, we suffer more. Now, do you think that's two-sided, or is it one side, initiating this competition?
Well, here's my response to that. And this is an analogy that I've made up. If you see two dead people, are you going to say which one is more dead? No, they're both dead. So something that is wrong, it's wrong, regardless who suffers from it or whatnot. The fact that it happened is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it.
We agree with you. I just think that, kind of what Eitan just mentioned here. I do see sometimes online, not necessarily on Clubhouse. I don't come on here too often, but black people kind of saying that us Jews didn't go through any oppression, and they kind of point to us being successful today. The oppression Olympics, is stupid. There's no point in doing it. I agree with you, Fleming, that if we're all, subjugated, we should stand together, and build each other up. But I don't really see, Jews engaging, I guess, in this oppression Olympics that I know of. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
The most famous example would have been, what's her name, Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, and you couldn't use the word race. It was territorial for her. No, that's not about race. Well, no, it was about race. Why is that the most important thing for her to talk about on the subject? Obviously. So
I believe it's because all communication is hypnosis, and as soon as you start talking about black or white, you enter into racial identity politics, which can be trumped by essentially communication with regards to God. So in America, we were founded really on religious principles and enlightenment, and not on racial identity politics. So when you come on this app and you start saying, things about the black man, it becomes a hypnosis history lesson, which deals no new information or knowledge to bring more peace, which is what you stated early on, that you have peace in your life. So I'm just saying that most of the philosophy or religion information should bring peace in your life and not war.
Stop Kamala Harris these things. You just word saladed that.
I word salad it, and Kamala Harris is a communist, subversive, and she's an agent of the deep state. She's a dangerous woman.
I think the issue really is based on what Eitan was saying, is that race is something different for different people, right? For Black Americans, the entire identity of Black Americans is really founded in the race politics, which Adrian here disregards, but doesn't think is real, because that's the inception of Black people in the United States. And for collectively, generally, we have been trained to see people with similar or same skin colors politics as people in the United States who were under the subjugation of white supremacy or white racism had to deal with.
Okay, but that's great because Adrian said this was really great thing he said, and that is something that I wish I could hear in any dialogue that we have here. If anybody's been to college and they've taken like composition 101 or they've been in like a debate team or something, there's always a point where you acknowledge what your opponent says. You're like, well, although this could be seen as nothing, and then you respond with your own logic. But that doesn't seem to be happening in Clubhouse at all. There's no acknowledgement that the Holocaust could have been a racist thing, or it was terrible that it happened. However, there's another suffering that's going on. It's never, ever, it's always 100% wiping out this innocent. And I can't understand this word. But, you want to say something, Daniel?
I like, go ahead, Daniel.
I don't see that he does.
You yourself next time.
Can I go on this behalf?
Go ahead.
Really quick, unfortunately, Clubhouse provides a platform for individuals who want to speak out that don't have the balls to say it to your face in person. So you deal with racism, and I don't mean to steal this away and mention anti-blackness. What I'm saying is that I was addressing what Adrian was saying as far as the level of anti-Semitism that he has experienced and you guys have experienced. What I'm saying is, from another perspective, is that I've experienced a level of anti-blackness, a level of racism that exists on this app. It does. A lot of the people that say things on this app, you're talking about Nazis, you're talking about people that are anti-Semitic. Yes, they exist. I've heard it for myself, and when I get a chance, I speak out against it. I see you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? What you guys are dealing with right now is the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites. I've got into with those dudes, man, back and forth, and of course they're anti-Muslim as well. They made comments about the Arabs and this and that, the slave trade. When you go back and forth with that, but I get into with those dudes all the time. They even come into the Sunni rooms, and we have to pack them out, man. And I know the slurs that they refer to Ashkenazis. I'm not going to repeat that here, but yeah, man, this provides a platform for idiots like that, idiots in those communities, man. So I'm sorry you guys have to deal with that, man. But Clubhouse is a hodgepodge of bullshit. I've come to the conclusion of that, man. Not this one particularly, but just it's more idiots on here than not, man.
I think when we're talking about oppression and suffering, we're talking about conceptual ideas, obviously. And it's not a physical thing where I take it now, you don't have it if I have it. And that's what I've seen. I'm trying to be delicate here. I've seen this perception prevail in the predominantly African American discussion here. When it's Jews and African Americans talking, it's the African American that will say, wait. The Holocaust wasn't nothing compared to the slave trade, or this wasn't nothing compared to nothing is a pretty bad word to use, by the way. But again, I don't know. I think that has to be addressed, that it's not a competition. And that we know
it goes back to my analogy, brother. You see two dead people. You can't say who's more dead. I mean, they're both dead. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, but dude, I just had to. You guys can hear me. There's construction happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just on Twitter, and some dude was going on about how Hitler's not a bad guy, and I just responded with a one-sentence response. Hitler, it's anti-Semitic to believe Hitler wasn't the bad guy. And some dude just responded and said, "Did some Jew tell you to say that?" Dude, Twitter's crazy. I just call him a retard. That's what I do. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, we have to, us Jews, deal with like a lot of that shit. That with our suffering can't be suffering. If our suffering happened, it was either our fault or it was a good thing it happened. And actually, it was probably our fault. We're the ones who caused it. And the good guys are always on the other side. This is how, these people think, And it's like, I don't think that, I don't see black people doing this on Twitter. In fact, I only see white supremacists, So I can believe that you hear anti-blackness. I'm not saying that I don't see it, but I don't see, I do hear about, black people being anti-Semitic. I don't see that on Twitter in comparison to, the white people on Twitter are terrible, And they're probably the ones who are also racist against black people. So, we both kind of have the same people cascade us,
But be honest, how can anyone come on this app day after day, week after week, month after month, and have Jewish derangement syndrome where all you really do on this app is talk about Jews? It's very strange to me.
There's some people whose identities are entirely entrenched by Jews, right? So Hebrew Israelites, their identity is to subvert Jews or Judaism. So are some evangelical Christians, hardcore Christians, and then you have the Palestinians who believe that they were subverted by Jews in the land that they call Palestine by Israel. So this is why you have these people with these identities, right? It's either one is subverting the other or is being subverted by the other. So this causes a lot of things. If you listen to what people are actually saying about Jews, a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, they're crying about not being recognized as real Jews. The Palestinians are crying about the idea that the Jews have robbed them of the idea of having a land of their own or their own country, even though they had the opportunity to have a Palestinian country, but they rejected it. Christians, their whole thing is about Jesus, Jews rejecting it. They're Jews who created the religion that they sort of value, rejecting the idea of Jesus, which is their sort of eschatology and the religion that they sort of adopted for themselves. Because Jews don't believe in it, therefore, the whole world's going to fall apart and they're going to melt. I don't know. But there really is a lot of it, in my opinion, or observation, I should say.
But that was what was different about the Holocaust. Something I find that most by the Jewish Virtual Library was in all the oppressions that you mentioned, there were conditions. If you accepted Jesus, you were excused or you were forgiven. If you left the land, you may have been done. It's over. But with the Holocaust, it was unconditional hate. There's no conditions attached to it. You couldn't convert it. You could have been the best German. You could have been 3/4 German, and you could have a bunch of medals. And they were out there. You could have lived in some remote island in Greece while Germany was losing the war, and they had no time, efforts, or resources to capture you. They go for you. The Holocaust was something different in that respect. I would like that.
No, I agree with you. I heard you. Yeah, I agree with you. It was unconditionally.
Let's not forget the echoes of those that are not here. So let's not forget what the narrative is, what Eton is talking about. I mean, it's absolutely true. I think we tend to paint different narratives of what really transpired and what other people feel and think. And I think at the end of the day, it's exactly what John does.
Well, this is the responsibility of being a historian. If you make it to 40 years old and you have some means, you got to get yourself some books.
Adrian, please get a different mic. It's horrible.
I think that one of the things that is going to eliminate anti-Semitism is space exploration. And think about it. When we finally make contact with other beings, right, on a different planet, when they ask you, where are you from? I don't know about you, but I'm going to say, I'm an Earthling. I'm from planet Earth.
Is this
like an Anunnaki thing?
This reminds me of You ever see Mel Brooks, The Jews Are in Space? One of those crazy
Space Jews, yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny movie, right? But what do you think of this quote from Jean Paul Sartre that said, which I quote?
Sartre was a communist, fuck him.
Okay, but he, even a broken clock is right twice a day. He said, if the Jew did not exist, the anti-Semite would have created him. Now, what do we think of this comment?
I agree. I think that this is also, generally speaking, that communities of people, even within isolated communities, create enemies amongst themselves, right? Everybody needs a type of enemy of itself.
Well, again, I don't want to take away from anyone else's suffering, but anti-Semitism has a few special qualities to it because there are two books out there, they're bestsellers, okay, the Quran and the New Testament, which I don't know if they're like their whole dad is condemning Jews, but there are lines in there that have caused people to hate Jews, and these books will be around, and they have been around, and it means someone in New Zealand who just sees sheep all day, or someone in Iceland that has never seen a Jew in his life, he already hates Jews, okay? It's not the same thing like when we talk about immigrants coming in, taking our jobs or something. Again, I point out this is unconditional hate. What can you do? And Hermes is brought up and said, well, if we go to space, maybe they will hate Jews. But what do you say, Hermes, or anybody? I think it's unconditional.
What is unconditional? The hate or acceptance?
Again, I think the Jews are the only people that have been hated without ever actually have known one at all. There are people who have never known Jews, have never seen a Jew, nothing. But yet they still know that they hate
Hermes, I do agree with you though. If there are aliens, it will create a frame around all of these racial identity politics, and it will negate a lot of bullshit because there's now another species of intelligence. But I think that's so far out, it's just a ridiculous hypnosis.
I was going to say something else. I mean, so the fact of the matter is, you're right. Most people don't even know a Jew. We're like, 0.2% of the world. Most of us live in Israel or in the United States. Actually, 90% of us do. And of the people in the United States, we all live in the same cities, North Miami, Los Angeles, around each other. We join these rooms where it's all of us Jews and Fleming, and maybe somebody else in here isn't Jewish, but the reality is, most people aren't going to meet us, so most people that hate us haven't met us. I mean, just look at the Middle Eastern countries. Those are the most anti-Semitic countries in the world, and there's no Jews living in Yemen, I don't need to tell you guys that. So, I don't know, I guess you just make it's just a scapegoat, make a scapegoat out of somebody you'll never meet,
We should take the playbook from
Never-ending
Mexico.
emails.
Because, what I find so ironic, like you pointed out, here in the States and in Israel, there's a lot of Jewish people, clearly, right? But Mexico elected their first woman Jewish president. She's a liberal. She's not Jewish.
Never-ending emails. I travel in an office. Don't tell them to do
Yeah,
it.
she's Jewish, bro.
The church vindicated Jews of any
I'm still get back to you by LinkedIn and send you
back
over
in
this one.
1962. And if Caleb was here, he'd help me pronounce this doc. Anybody know? Well, I think Big Zed knows. What's it called? Notre Tate, Our Times or something?
Thank you. I'm just still over. Get back to you by LinkedIn and send you over this
How
one.
many times have I been in high school called all kinds of names? Okay, and they don't know that we've been vindicated. So, again, where's going to be a solution? So, if someone in this room said that, and I wish they would be right, that anti-Semitism one day will be a thing of the past, but I don't see how that's going to happen. I don't see how it's happening.
I don't even know why people use anti-Semitism anymore. You might as well just start saying Jew hate.
Well, yeah, either way, it's just bad. Right?
I mean, it's literally, Jew hate is the definition of anti-Semitism.
I get it. I've heard the historical, information about that, but you're gonna always.
Let,
you're always going to have somebody on the other side bring up that stupid point. So just get it out in the open and say what it is.
They're fucking stupid if they bring it up.
Well, there you and how many times how many hours are you going to waste? I'm just saying.
I mean, if they want to embarrass themselves, they can embarrass themselves. It's those people that won't be swayed by, those people who bring up, I can't be anti-Semitic because I'm a Semite. Not knowing what the definition of Semite is, are just retards, and they can just show they're retards, and we can't even debate them on normal things anyway. So if they want to go for it.
Brian, can you give us that correct definition, please?
Semitic is used in reference to Aramaic, Hebrew, Arabic, those types of languages. It has nothing to do with the properties of people. Anti-Semitism was specifically defined by a German to regard how Jews were treated in Germany in the 1800s. It was a new word then. It's only meant to be around Jews. Nobody in the history of forever has ever referred to a people as a Semitic people. That's never been a thing. It's only used with languages.
Yeah.
Does that help?
And that was the charge. There was the linguist arguing that like German was superior to Semitic languages, and he was saying that's all because you're just an anti-Semite.
They also accused Jews of making what's the word I'm looking for? Like sort of diluting the German language with their Yiddish and adding like orientalizing. That's the word. The German language.
Version of the true German tongue.
What about the term Judeophobia? Is that match anti-Semitism? Or is that
I don't know. Anyone's really afraid of it.
It's actually very curious why Ashkenazi Jews sort of maintain Yiddish as a language, surrounding the issues of the amount of anti-Semitism and Orientalization, or accusations of Orientalization by white supremacists in Eastern Europe.
You know what's funny? Rowdy yesterday was talking about the Hebrew language, and he was saying that he would prefer if there were no vowels. None of those little bits of he doesn't want the dots. It's like, how would I do that? And he's like, well, I know. I'm throwing like a couple of extra letters to like illustrate stuff. So like extra yuds, extra bugs, extra olives. And then I just said, okay, so you want to reinvent Yiddish.
Then you destroy the whole Semitic triconsonantal system when you do that.
I think Yiddish is going to come back because certain minds that have been acquainted with certain styles of language are going to want it, whereas other people are going to be fine with reading the implications of the Nikuda or whatever.
I think to answer Ethan's question about why did they maintain Yiddish after it's been, what was your question exactly? That it's been
after all the anti-Semitism that came around it, and like accusations of Orientalism and German, or by Germans and I guess Eastern Europeans of Jews who were basically incorporating Yiddish into like everyday speech.
Well, I mean, first of all, we have a saying in Hebrew goes with the love of Mordechai or they hate Haman. We want to love Mordechai more than we hate Haman. I think the Jews want to hang on to Yiddish, which are the ones who are loving Shalom Aleichem and all these other wonderful authors, Salbello or whoever else wrote in Yiddish, as the hating German language. Okay, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it's not surprising that people kept the language they were familiar with and all their friends spoke. What's weird is that a whole generation of Jews voluntarily decided to start speaking in a language they were not that familiar with and revive people. That's the weird bit.
Whoa.
Wait, but not necessarily. So I think there's two things to unpack there. Number one, I don't think it's a weird thing, of course, to speak in what the Torah is written in. But number two, Yiddish is still necessary for sects of, ultra-Orthodox Jews that don't speak Hebrew because they think it's blasphemous, too. I feel like that's also...
Listen, if you don't like klezmer, you're just not an intelligent person. I mean, klezmer should solidify your Jewish derangement syndrome once and for all.
I want to address makes sense. that I am. Makes sense. All right, what are we saying? Why would they want to use Hebrew? Is that what you said, that language?
No, I'm not saying why would they want to use Hebrew. I said it was strange, weird, aberrant. It is very strange for people to revive a language and make one whole cloth. Like, they grabbed it, they took it. And it's not like an easy thing to adopt a new language and revive it from the dead. That was the hard choice. They did that in part to unite all of Judaism. It was a huge move. But I'm just saying, we shouldn't be surprised if people still speak Yiddish. People have been speaking Yiddish since the Romans were still in charge. That's an old language. There's a lot of writings in Yiddish.
Wait. Yiddish, to my knowledge, came about 1,000 years ago. I don't know if the Romans, I don't know what you're getting at. Maybe the Holy Roman Empire.
No, what I mean is the Jews were living in the Germanic regions amongst the Germans since the Roman era.
Yeah.
When it developed as a fully distinct language with its own writing, I don't know. Like, I don't know when the Germans really started writing.
If anybody reads like this historical fiction guy, what's his name, the Amurus, or any of those books, that will completely understand why Yiddish was shunned. And there was even actors in Israel who got tickets. Okay, like they wanted to get themselves. And I'm not going to say anything that isn't really going.
Yeah, they didn't want the state to be Yiddish. They didn't want an exile, kind of image. This defeated Woody Allen, a neurotic Jewish kind of. That's not what Yiddish is, and that's weird.
You know that, and I know that. Okay, but with Ben Gurion and Ben Yehuda, they wanted to go back. Okay, because King David and King Solomon and all these great warriors of the Bible are glorious times. Okay, our contribution to the world is like this book called the Bible.
Yeah.
They didn't speak Yiddish. They wrote Hebrew. And when Herzl wrote the book Alt Neuland, okay, you know your Yiddish as well as I do, you know your German. Alt meaning old, Neu meaning new. And that's exactly what you did when you revived Hebrew. You took something old and you made it something new. Which is like my name, okay, is an Alt Neuland kind of an idea because it's taken from one of the oldest texts in the world, the Torah, right? But it's new because it doesn't sound like these standard exile names like Moishi and Mori and then whatever else. So it's got two things simultaneously going on, and that's what the revival of Hebrew was about. And this whole image, they wanted to make it a biblical kind of ambiance. They even in Israel initially on the radio they spoke like in Yemenite, kind of like the glottal sounds to sound more biblical. And again, people don't understand. There's this guy, Elon Poppy. Are you familiar with Elon Poppy?
Rings a bell.
He's extremely left, anti-Israel. He says the Zionists are like hypocrites because they don't believe in God, but yet they believe that God. Wrong. Okay. The ones who don't believe in God do not believe that God promised the land, but yet we would say that.
Higher video. Hi, I'm Lane Mendelson. I'm the.
And Eagle Alone and all these like archaeologists. You understand what I'm saying, right? There is no contradiction.
Yeah, I don't think it's a contradiction in being Zionistic and not believing in God.
No, not being Zionistic, being completely infatuated and enthused about the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Jewish, you're going to be enthused about the Bible. So
You have your national document, and you're going to see your history there, your language there, you're going to see your glory, you're going to see all there.
Yeah, people love America and you love the Constitution.
Okay.
But if you love America, it's more likely you're going to be interested in the Constitution. And if you're really, jazzed about starting the Jewish state, you're probably going to be curious about the history of the first Jewish state.
If you love America, I would put this differently. If you love America, you likely love the Constitution, even if you haven't read the words. I haven't read the words word by word, but I know it's in it generally.
Adrian is a mastermind of forming a Jewish state to resolve a current, modern, horrible crisis of pogrom in the Pale. Then you're going to be thinking about the original state for the Jews.
The original state for the Jews psychology. We're talking the psychology of, you don't call it the exile, you call it the diaspora, and there's a reason for that. You know that reason. I'll share with everybody.
No, I don't know what reason you want to say. Go ahead.
Because the Zionists believe, okay, there's the Galut, okay, that's the exile, that's victimization, right? And then there's the Geulah, which is the redemption. Now, you cannot have an exile if you have redemption. It doesn't mathematically make sense.
Yes.
So what you have now is a dispersion by choice. And when you have a diaspora, that's exactly what the word is. It's by choice, not by exile.
Diaspora is not by choice. It's just a broader term. I said to me that you were kicked out.
In practice, maybe that's the case, and that's where it came about. But in practice, diasporas are generally kicked out. Like, look at the Iranian diaspora. They were kicked out, many from the Ayatollah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Diaspora is a broader term.
Again, you're all making perfect logical sense. And again, if you're going to use a dictionary word, I'm using the dialect of Zionistic dialect here. There is a leap from exile to diaspora, no matter how we define it.
Yeah, but you're
The distinction I'm making is that if they actually have a sovereign state, they're no longer denied by God. They're not exiled.
Again, Zionism is about you're not a victim anymore. You're not a victim. This is why mentioning Sartre one more time. This is what he loved about Zionism, because it completely proves his existentialism, being that nobody has an essence. They choose along the way. They exist first, and then they form their essence. And this is what Zionism proved. We are not these schooks. We are not.
Yeah, but look at the word diaspora. I mean, it has the word die in it, and that.
Okay, you guys are talking over each other.
Yeah, I think you're making a mistake and delving too much into the psychological programs of the past. Right? They're telling you, don't be the Nebuchadnezzar Jew. I don't know if you're a Nebuchadnezzar Jew. And what's wrong with that? And why are they trying to build this type of model? Whatever kind of image of a strong Maccabee Zionist that they built in the early 50s. Is that true, or is that just programming from Grandpa?
I mean, we can get into this topic if you want to, because I just downloaded a book called Acting Jewish. It was written by a Jewish guy about 100 years ago about marketing the Jewish image on television and theater.
Right.
Yeah, we can send that to me too. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Why?
It really created the hallmark for the ill normals in the world.
Yeah, but you have to look at Judaism also through an esoteric lens, and the word diaspora is also about ego death, meaning Amcha Yisrael. It doesn't matter whether you're in the actual land or you're outside of the land, Amcha Yisrael. So the diaspora is about ego death and being one with the universe. That's my opinion.
Okay, now we're going on from defining Zionism to defining diaspora. Okay, and I appreciate that. So what did you say at the end of your sentence? Something about, what did you say? What was that? You said, do you remember what you said, Adrian? You didn't remember what he said? Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we are getting deep into Zionist mentality, cliche, whatever you want to
Well, you're also delving into existentialism, how true that is.
Well, I know you don't like existentialism, but
I'm just saying, regardless of my opinions about existentialism, you're just dropping it and saying this is the fact. There is no real meaning to you. You just kind of roll with your choices, and thus you are whatever you choose to be. So I am a chair.
We can go on from describing these, endorsing. But I'm just pointing out what people do not understand about Zionism. All the psychology that's around it. And once again, I'm going to use the Holocaust date as everybody in the world commemorates the Holocaust on the 27th of January, which is the day that Auschwitz was liberated. And it's called the Holocaust Memorial Day. But in Israel, it's called the day of, and it's in April, because it commemorates the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. You see the emphasis here? Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, and it's called the day of memory and knowledge of it, and while hero and heroism, right?
Well, it's something they said, like, it's already, it's like, algorithm, it's the Holocaust and then apart from getting up or from like the rising up or I don't know, like the,
Okay, so that's one way to expose.
also yes, also erase.
And I think that if we have to get out of our victim mentality truths, we have to understand what these societies want from us, or what we want from ourselves. And I think that's already in play. But it's something that I don't know that this movie answers. So
I was saying also, let's check also the Memorial Day that we have not forgotten about, but for the soldiers, 1 day afterwards, they have Independence Day, so we said we will sacrifice this, like this is like 1 day after the other.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point. Exactly. And also when they finish their term, they go up, so they still do this thing, they say,
I don't know if they still go there, but yeah, they do say it. Not so often, but not so common. Yeah.
So anyway, earlier in this conversation said about why we wanted to speak Hebrew, why we don't continue speaking Yiddish. This was my very lengthy answer to all that.
I mean, you do understand why Black Hebrew Israelites love what they do, though, correct?
What do they have to do with anything in this? Why?
Because they are parroting or mirroring, the truth, and they are just creating content. Basically, they are commercializing or culturally appropriating for, essentially financial and power, political means.
I don't know their motives.
Yeah, we've got to get rid of the Black Hebrew Israelites.
I think their logic's ridiculous, but it might be intriguing for cognitive psychologists to see the power of denial and how one really can lie to them. It's just unbelievable how this is taken off. I mean, to really think that people who are really descended from West Africa and who do not look like anybody else in the region, that they're talking.
But you got to understand, they're drawing from an origin story. So what they're doing is technically, it's fraud, but they are still drawing from the origin story, which is really a universal origin story.
It's called wishful thinking, and some might say, and I've been told this, that the whole Jewish chosen people idea was a coping mechanism, and they just cut and paste and stealing someone else's, coping mechanism. It worked for us for 2,000 years. It'll work for them too. That's what's going on in their subconscious. I don't know.
Well, it's the hate that they spew, which is the problem. The hate that comes out of it. It's supposed to produce peace, not hate. They're using it and inverting it, and that's what they say about the Torah. I mean, if you read the Shulchan Aruch, it says in the very beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, do not share this with anybody.
I said that sounds Greek.
I mean, the Shulchan Aruch is a very complicated book. I can't, it's tough.
Okay, what do you, Adrian? What are you saying? We're not supposed to share our Judaism with anybody?
It straight up tells you in the front of the Shulchan Aruch, it's not just a copyright warning. It goes very deep into what you should and should not do with that book.
Yeah, keep your Judaism in your pants.
Is that what it says, Mayor?
I mean, let's be honest. Most people are.
You should wake up like the lion, be like Lady Eagle. Nothing about not sharing that be to read it. That's it.
No, what I'm trying to tell you is most people will never, ever pick up Shulchan Aruch and actually read it. So, I'm just saying.
Do it right now. It's very simple. You can read the thread that doesn't talk about that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's a part of the copyright warning in the front. Is it goes deeper than just a basic copyright warning. It's not part of the text.
Okay, but that's all due respect, Adrian, but that's in a way it's a way of victimization when we're talking about our people. Then we have to say these other people think, these other people want, these other people say. I don't see the connection.
No, I'm not presenting a victimization mentality. I'm just bringing up observations that I've had. That's all.
It's really nothing that Black Hebrew Israelites have to do with science. Whatever.
Well, I don't totally agree with you. I think that part of the construction of Zionism as opposed to Judaism, involved a propaganda movement, a media campaign, a definition of Judaism, and an awareness of the different strains of Judaism. Whereas previously, what difference did it make? If I was Jewish in England, I knew the English Jews. If I was Jewish in Russia, I knew the Russian Jews. But Zionism, with it came the age of propaganda. Judaism had to be opened up, explained, clarified, delineated. And I think from that comes some fans.
I don't know if it was Judaism itself that was on trial or examined or anything.
Yes, it was. Zionism was always about Judaism and Jews.
I not think that it was
like Herzl in France, coming from Hungary, has to think about the Jews of Spain, Israel, the Ottomans, and the Russians. Mostly think about the Russians.
I'm not denying that touching upon parts of the Ottomans, touching on the tail of it. I think I was saying his primary concern wasn't about any of this cultural mumbo jumbo that I talked about in the last 15 minutes. Herzl wanted to remove, he was more interested, but he was more interested in removing something than creating something. He wanted to remove all these pogroms and all this anti-Semitism and all these other things. He wanted to remove suffering.
You know, it was a nightmare that kept Dreyfus up. That little, I just told you the answer. It kept Herzl up. It lit a fire under his ass. He wrote feverishly for 10 years after the Dreyfus affair. That was the thing. He wanted to avoid that. He said the Jews will never be at home in France. He was like firm on it. He was like, he can't live in this like secular place where the Jews are buying. Like it's gonna turn on them. After Dreyfus.
Wait, no. It's against secular. I don't know that he was concerned.
I put it in the chat. I read the Hakdama pretty quickly. I don't think anything about sharing it. Not that long, about 3 passages. I've never read it before.
This is the Shulchan Aruch, right?
The Shulchan Aruch by Yosef Cairo.
And it says what you should stay.
It basically says that I wrote on the Agatur, that's the original book, that I wrote on it to Bet Yosef for all the Rishonim and the new things, and I compiled it, and so that it should be shakur b'picha, like wrote in your mouth, so you shouldn't get confused when you're asked something. And then I wrote it in a derech tzara, abbreviated, and I called that book the Shulchan Aruch. I don't see anything.
I didn't deny it.
But you say you should hide your Judaism.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, but I read it just to get sure.
Exactly. But the it's not about secular or religious. Again, it's about Jews being targeted, except whether that's from.
No, I know. Herzl wanted a secular state, but he was saying
No, I don't know. I don't think he cared. Once again, I think his primary concern was a shelter. That's what his concern was, whether it was going to be secular or not. This is where
wait, but you have to understand the nature of the event he was trying to create. There was a reason why he thought it needed to be a separate Jewish state, right? That's a crazy idea, and he pushed for it from France because he was of the opinion he thought like a secular person. He wasn't saying that like religion is important and the Jews belong in Israel. He was saying religion is the backbone of a culture, and the cultures that we are surrounded by are anti-Semitic.
He thought also that religious thinking brought to messianic thinking, which brought to like wait until this happens thinking, which brought to more pogroms and more inquisitions and more whatnot. So his thinking was, we have to roll up our sleeves and pick up the shovel and pick up the rifle.
But Eitan, didn't that come later?
Yeah, that came later.
Didn't he originally want to say that could be...
He lived for 10 years. He didn't see much of the...
Herzl even wanted to take the Jews and convert them to Catholicism. He
probably would make peace.
But he wasn't such an idealist. He wasn't
at all an idealist.
He started Jewish.
I'll tell you why this is important.
1898, when he made the first Zionist convention, he kept it very agnostic of how the state would look, and he said, well, the Jewish would get there. By the third Zionist convention, he announced cultural Zionism. So his opinion evolved, and then it became a very specific view of what the country would look like, and it's kind of humorous today. He wanted semicircle houses, he basically wanted to build a very rich society like Vienna.
He wanted many things, and he wanted a 7-day work week, and that's all wonderful. Why not touch upon it? And I don't know if it's said in any way he's done any of this. This is a very, very delicate very sensitive point in this room. Because was the hell Herzl, to say Herzl was a secular is one thing. To say that he wanted a secular state is another thing. To say that he actually said, we know we have a Jewish state, when we have a Jewish prostitute being arrested by a Jewish policeman, arrested in jail. That's what he said. I don't know, somebody said it. Yes, okay, it gives you goosebumps. But that's one thing to say that, and to say that he was anti-religious is a completely other thing.
I didn't say he was anti-religious.
You did not
He
say
was
that.
pretty. Well, why are you surprised?
Okay, but the point is, I
said he was a secular person, and he related to religion like a secular person of that era. He thought that it was the backbone of the civilization, and he was surrounded by civilizations that were birthed in anti-Semitism.
If I took you out of context, then apologies.
I don't think he was a standard secular person of the generation. I've had discussions with him. He was German, which was very difficult. He was at least second generation secular, maybe third. He was more removed from religion than the standard secular person of the time.
Yes.
If you go through his biography, it's very different than Gorian's. And then Gorian's is much more standard.
Yes. Herzl's story is the story of a Jew that wanted desperately to not be Jewish anymore and found that his only solution was in fact
I don't even
to
think
abstain.
so. I don't even think so. He's a product of people who didn't want to be Jewish anymore. He didn't even know that CO notes was a good idea until someone told him. He was very.
He didn't want to be Jewish either. He tried to convert.
Let's distinguish here. Let's make a fine point. Did he not want to be Jewish because he despised Judaism, or did he not want to be Jewish because it was a synonym for being a victim? And that is
It was a synonym for being a victim. The point is
brainwashing.
But he's a later generation. That's what's odd. Most of that generation was navigating secularism.
Yes.
He was born in.
Why can't you just say he was a Kabbalist?
No. He was firmly secular. That's what I'm saying. He was living in France after the Jews had been emancipated. Generation or two after. They've been through many revolutions. He's loyal to the state. There are Jews serving in the military. It's like the modern age. And he sees Dreyfus and he goes, holy shit, we're fucked. They're still the same people. Just because they're using the metric system doesn't change the anti-Semitism of the past millennia.
Well, I read a book about Herzl. At the very end of it, the last page, the last word is colossal.
That was fascinating. Thank you for that.
No, I mean, it's a story about how he went before the Sultan, and the Sultan saw the Spirit of God in his eyes. And then the end of the book says it can only be summed up, his achievements can only be summed up in one word, and that is colossal.
But he was an amazing writer and an amazing speaker. He galvanized the Jews of that era to really get up and do it. And he was the speaker on the topic.
Okay, well, I wish that, like in Israel, because there's so many divisions, and one of the things they do in Israel is they commemorate Herzl's birthday, whereas they have ceremonies and whatnot, and there was a very religious, I don't know if he's the mayor of Jerusalem right now, but he specifically made it a point not to show up because his religious background prohibited him from going to this.
You can go on eBay or Amazon right now and buy books by Theodor Herzl, and they'll knock your fucking socks off.
This was at least 20 years ago.
I remember that. He went to jail.
Yes,
Rob is trying to get in here. Rob, but he can't because someone's got him blocked.
Oh, that's such a Clubhouse. That is such a Clubhouse thing to say.
I agree to have the world.
Care? Does anyone care? Yeah,
No, nobody cares. Sorry.
Wait. Rob can come in here and contribute. It's not going to hurt anybody.
Obviously, but I mean, is this really? Are you really going to have a conversation like this right now?
El Normo has him blocked.
This conversation is really becoming Jewish. Gotta tell you.
Story about Kapolinski or whatever. I remember what it was. Some hardcore Yemenite, they know big positions. okay, whatever the deal was, he didn't want to go, and everybody supported him because they hated Herzl because they thought Herzl was against religion, against non-orthodoxy and whatnot. And I think it's the division that keeps being brought up every time, and it's an unfortunate one. So I'm just
wasn't against it, but it also doesn't really matter what one early Zionist thought.
okay, but this guy was against. The difference here is this guy was specifically against Herzl. I don't think he was against Zionism.
Okay, I think you're.
Yeah, I mean, he's a politician.
Have you ever
he was against cultural Zionism.
Have you ever read?
Wait a minute. He was against cultural Zionism. So he was against, but he wasn't against the state, though. On this,
Obviously, he's not against the state, but he's against
obviously,
cultural Zionism. This is like the typical conversation that goes in circles. It's not, because Zionism means something offensive to the term. So cultural Zionism, political Zionism, they're all different.
Right. Exactly. And okay.
He served the
idea of trying to brainwash.
I just remember the leaflets they threw all over the place. They dropped these leaflets everywhere.
Right.
And it was so Israeli and so rude. It was a picture of Tommy Lapid that looked a little weird. And it said something like, since the election, he's been smiling. And if we elect this mayor, he'll finally stop smiling. Magiello. That's the advertisement of voted man.
Right. Right. I'm going to Normal. You there? Normal's not answering me. He's not even in the room. Okay, Normal's going to go down to the audience, so this is nothing hostile. Hello, Normal. Okay.
Oh, are you talking about? I don't have anybody blocked, but are you really trying to coordinate?
I just
people block.
I realize the consequences of making everybody a mod now. I'm trying to be a democratic person. I heard the price with everything. Okay. Rob, dude, over in this dispute that he's having with this other individual, I take.
So let me ask the Jews a question in the room. Like that Shulchan Aruch book, it tells you when to smoke a cigarette. It tells you when to tie your shoes. It tells you when to clip your toenails, your fingernails. I mean, these are big things that you can't really overlook, especially clipping fingernails. And I know that may sound ridiculous, but when you are poor in a shtetl and you have 2 candles and a half a loaf of bread, which is soured, and your milk is, not being produced by the cow, every little moment of your life is an intricate moment, and cutting fingernails is a difficult thing to do on a shtetl. So I'm just saying that there's even cultural significance or esoteric significance for clipping one's fingernails. And if you look up, there's a Jewish folklore book that goes deep into it. But I'm just wondering if Jews here are even, hip to be square.
So, Achad is an interesting idea. The idea of cultural Zionism. To some degree, it's really Judaism.
Cultural Zionism is Judaism?
Yeah, I mean, this is what he said. So problems in Judaism is always.
I have a quick poll. Does anyone at all care about either Candace Owens or Shmuel Patel?
I like Shmuel Bateach, and I dislike Candace Owens.
Okay, so if you saw nationalism as a way to reconnect Jews to Judaism, putting forth ideas of creating settlements in Eretz Israel, filled with well-versed Hebrew speakers and a core adherence to Judaism. He saw the land of Israel and the Hebrew language as integral parts of the Jewish national heritage and not necessarily religious significance. So even though he might not have had like a religious devotion to Judaism, what he's espousing is, let's be religiously devoted to Judaism.
He's espousing to be.
Yeah, he's saying that they should speak Hebrew and practice Judaism in Israel. That's his theory of Zionism.
Ribono shel olam.
Wait. Him being again, lost the person, right? Let him know. Who's him? Herzl? Of course, he was a cultural Zionist, but he had a problem with the political Zionism. He said things that are quoted by Palestinians to this very day. I don't.
Yeah, he didn't like the very, let's say, hyper-pragmatic bent.
Rabbi Shaloyim, that's why Hashem sent Rabbi Shlomo Karlbach and his minion.
Herzl didn't care where. And he was willing to take solutions. Whereas Effanah was thinking more culturally. He said that our culture is being destroyed. Like, who cares where we... One, like, our culture is only Israel. It could only ever work in Israel. And that argument is sound. And Herzl was stupid for not even thinking it through.
Rabbi Shaloyim, that's why Hashem sent Rabbi Lazer Brody and Rabbi Shalom Arush of Breslov.
I do eventually want to address Mayor's question. He wants to expand on it about the English political chaos and Candace Owens. It's all his business. Does the mayor want to say anything about it? Why did you bring it up? Mayor, are you there? He's not there either.
I moved Adrian down to the audience because he was getting a little crazy, and
Adrian heard that one. Yeah, that's great. I wish I would have. Okay, but Mayor was saying something. And
No, Mayor wasn't talking. You were trying to get him to talk while he was saying nothing.
Well, he said something about Candace Owens. Was it who brought the Candace Owens?
I've been resurrected like Jesus. I'm back from the grave. I'm back like Jesus. I've been resurrected from the grave. Okay, this is the Adrian Dittmann podcast.